Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a second. We had a little bit of an issue, so give me a second. Give me a second. I have to. Here we are. Mute. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. It is another episode of Have a Drink with Me Friday. I am Crax, your host. We have Paul Dunn here with us very soon. I have to share everything. Give me 1 second. And there we go. We're going to save. And we're back. Go back to comments. Oh, yeah, we got to share the show. Share. Get an invite. And of course, I don't have my phone with me at the moment. There it is. It's like the pre-show before the show. Yeah, we had some issues, so give me 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I am Crax, your host, and I see some people trickling in. I just wanted to say hello. If you want a proper hello, just give a hi or a hello, something in the chat. Just say something, and I'll give you your proper shout out, like always. Ophi Spider-Verse, hey Crax. I'm glad you're here, Ophi. It's really good to see you again. Just another Have a Drink with Me Friday, so I hope you've got your drink ready. I don't know what you're having. I'm having some mulled wine, but you can have some tea or water. Just sit back, relax with some music and with your favorite drink, of course. We're waiting for Paul as Paul Dunn. You may have known him from other podcasters like Scott's Inverts. Yeah, no, Paul is an experienced venomous snake. Well, he's an experienced snake handler, and we're waiting for him to come back. So we're waiting for him to come in and say hello and join us on the call, of course. And of course, I'm sharing the show as well. So give me a second. I'm pretty sure I saved all that. Yes, I did. Okay, good. Go back to my video. I just want my video. And of course I can't do that. It's like channel content. I don't want to do that either. I just want to go back to my video. Why can't I go back to my video? There we go. So let's do it this way. And Paul is here with us. Add to stream. Hello, Paul.
Hi there, how you doing?
Pretty good. Glad you could make it. Had some issues setting up the audio earlier, and so I've been like running around with my head, like my head has been cut off like a chicken, just like running around crazy, like. But I'm actually gotten everything straightened out. I was like, yay! Finally got home, finally sat down, relaxed. I've got a cold one sitting here with me. Some mulled wine, chilled with a little bit of rum.
Sweet. That's brilliant.
It's like I said, it's Have a Drink with Me Friday. So what are you having? What are you going to be drinking?
I don't drink at all.
You don't drink water?
Oh, right. Yeah. I drink water, but I'm not having a drink now.
Oh, okay. No, like I said, Have a Drink with Me Friday isn't just having an adult beverage and kick back and relax. It's geared for that, but it's not a must. It's more like I said, a kick back, relax, enjoy the moment, relax with everybody. We have Ophi's Spider-Verse. I was in the middle of sharing the show when you jumped on. So let me finish that up. Cool. Because people get a little bit busy and all that good stuff. So, and of course I have to refresh everything. So,
no problem.
All right, let's do this. So you might hear a couple of clicks in the background. I apologize. That's just me sharing.
Cool.
Might have a burp or two. The wine burps are great. People talk about the wrath of the grape. It's like, no, the burp is the worst.
Yeah.
You're talking and you have to turn your head and then your cheeks expand and it's like, like then you're choking on. It's like, oh, it's like the worst taste and worst feeling ever.
Oh,
that is the wrath of the grape. It's not the hangover, because the hangover you can drink a bunch of water, get some sleep, relax. But the other part that is like I said, that is the wrath. That is them getting back at you. We have a second person that has entered the show. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just getting with the show, we have Paul Dunn with us. And I'm glad you were able to share your music. You're a bass player and all that. So I was really happy that you actually got to share your music. And, it was a little bit of a roller coaster trying to get that on there and programmed into the soundboard. And I was like, holy crap, how am I going to do this? But then I figured out that your song sounded so much better after the recording that I was like, holy crap, what was the difference? And it's the download. It's no longer on the website, so I don't have a cross section of the codecs, which warps the sound after YouTube compresses the file during upload. So they're probably going to still compress it, but the audio won't be so bad. And then on top of that, I learned a new trick. I can actually record using Audio City. And so if the audio is still distorted and in the worst way, because I've noticed my prior records are just so bad. They're really, really bad. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, with this, I can actually just download the video and then replace the audio with the recording that we have now. So the audio will be cleaned up. It will sound nice. So I'm actually pretty happy about that.
Excellent. These are from the EP, which is an older EP. I think it was recorded in 2017. Since then, we have recorded a debut album, and everything is just sounding so much better. We've not got a release date for it, but if you keep your eyes and ears open, hopefully sometime in the near future we'll have a release date for the debut album.
Yeah, no, I'm actually looking forward to that. When that happens, let me know, because I have Fat Cat Radio, which is a different project going on right now. Right now it's just a bunch of recordings. It's not going to be released. I released some early stuff, and then somebody came by with a little bit of extra money, and they said, "Hey, we like what your label looks like, and what you do at your label, but we have our own ideas. We'll throw in our money and get you the apps and everything else if you want to come and join, and let us use your label." I was like, "Yes," and so that's been a day in, day out recording session, and trust me, it's really, it gets to the throat. Actually, you start realizing, the throat muscle. So voice actors, I have to give them a lot of credit, and music artists as well, because they have to constantly strain their voice. They constantly have to strain the muscles in the throat. So it's just like, I have mad respect. It was like an eye opener for me. So it's just like an athlete, you work out your vocal cords, and most people, that's something most people take for granted. And I really wasn't, I really didn't think about it until after, basically until after, I started doing it day in and day out, and I'm like, holy crap, this is rough. So, but yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, Paul Dunn is here. Besides being, in a band and being a bass player, because I remember you telling everybody you were a bass player. And like I said, I was a cello player, and I learned to play the cello and the piano.
Yeah.
And so when I hear bass, I think of the bass cello. It's a completely different instrument. So I'm like, oh, well, wrong bass. He's not into jazz. So we'll get into your snakes, because that's pretty much where you shine. I think that I love your music, don't get me wrong, but I really love your snake collection, and I love what you do with your snakes. You're not showing them that they're these vicious animals, and that you're constantly having to worry about your life. Because when people because here, let me put it this way: in Sweden, we do not have a DWA. We do have some laws that are reinforced. Our laws are basically, if you rescue an animal from a rescue, you're not allowed to sell or trade that animal. But what you are able to do is you're able to keep that animal, and you can basically educate the public on it. We do not require you to have a certain amount of anti-venom on hand or anything like that. But what they do ask you, if you're into breeding, is that you call up the hospital and you let them know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get blindsided either. As I was saying earlier on Scott's, I was saying that the venom, it doesn't keep long on the shelf. It's a very short lifespan on anti-venom, and it's extremely expensive. So hospitals here generally won't have it. They'll have to actually ask the zoos if they have it, because they have to have it on hand because of all the staff and then their insurance. So they have to go through the zoos there, and it's just a really long process. But here in Sweden, we don't have that type of regulation. The only thing is they don't want you reselling. So you can't sell through a third party. If you got what we consider a hot animal, which is basically anything poisonous or venomous, you're not really allowed to do what they call a resale, and you're not allowed to do it through a third party. So basically, you can't go on to a website and say, we've got this on advertisement. What you can say is, you've got reptiles for sale, contact for a list. And so that you're technically not selling through or advertising through a third party of what you exactly have, because that can be anything. So it's all basically individual sell. You cannot have a license, basically, because they don't want to promote this what they call radical behavior. I don't think it's radical behavior, but for them, I think it is. They can't wrap their head around it. Which is hilarious.
I think it's crazy, the stuff that we have to go through to keep the animals we love. It's nuts.
Well, as I was explaining on Wednesday, we don't have here like I said, here in Sweden, we don't have the regulations that are, and the regulations we do have are not enforced. it's a common belief here. You do what you want in your own house. Just leave everybody out of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not our job or the government's job to come in and tell you how to keep your animal, except for when it comes for fish. For some strange reason, if you cannot put your fish in a spherical aquarium type, you have to have either square or there has to be an edge somewhere so they can feel safe to hide. I've never understood that law. It's like some random, like, out of the blue, here's what you have to have. And I'm like, oh wait, what? And so so if your neighbor thinks that you've got this globe that you've turned into an aquarium for some strange reason, they can actually, report you. But for everything else, it's pretty much, nope, they can't. Hello, Scott's Animal Adventures. Welcome to the show. And say hello to Paul today. He's being very nice. He's being gracious enough to come on our show and tell us and share with us his knowledge and experiences. But yeah, here in Sweden, we do not have a DWA. The hotter animals are not regulated. You can't have a cheetah. Of course, you can't have what they consider exotic to a degree, but you can. There are some exceptions. Hello, Spider Mom, 1978. You have some fans coming in here. They're like jumping in.
So do you not need to move to Sweden?
I think every UKer has said that because they're like, there's no DWA. I can just bring my animals. No, you cannot bring your animals across the border. But once you get here, you can purchase your animals. And of course, it's still not a deterrent. They're like, oh, we're sold. Because what you can do is you can ask a distributor. You can go to a distributor and by the way, Sweden has the strictest animals laws in the world. That's false, Hutker. That is totally false. I would call bullcrap on that one because I just ran through all the laws. Anyways, so yeah, no, we, the thing is with us though, when it comes to, like I said, let's say a Cobra, for example, you can buy and sell here. You don't have to have a special license. But you can't take it and rehouse it to somebody else. You can't sell it to somebody else. So there's what they call rehousing, and that's the loophole that you get through. You're rehousing your animal, and they're paying you to rehouse their animal.
So it's a case of once you've got that animal, that's yours until it dies, sort of thing.
Yes, unless like I said, there are breeders, and what you do is they're paying me to rehouse.
Right.
So you're rehousing the animal. Technically into their house, and they're going to assume responsibility. You see how the law can easily get around.
Oh yeah.
But you don't have to have a license to keep the animal. And if you're a rescue, you cannot rehouse. That once you have a rescue, that animal is your animal. You cannot rehouse. You also have to provide regularly, and you are government watched. That is the only problem, and that is the reason why a lot of I know two people who do rescues, and one of them actually is here where I live, and their house is overran. They're they're up in their eyeballs and snakes, to be honest, and it's rattlers to be. It's funny because when you pay 12 to 15,000 kroner for, which is about 1,500 euro for an animal, you're basically putting a lot of effort in keeping it. But for some reason, rattlers like the diamondback or a puff adder, no, it's pretty cheap to get them. So there's a lot of people who acquire them, and then they'll have drugs on them or something and get busted, and then the police have to come in and confiscate all of that, of course. Well, where do you put these vicious animals? Well, not vicious, but where do you put these animals that are venomous, and how do you find somebody that knows how to handle those animals and not going to end up in the hospital after you've just rescued? So it's like, so they have to go to these rescues, and the rescues are just, overpopulated. And because people don't want to go through all the paperwork and basically sign a paper to say the government can walk through their door at basically any time of the day or night, and basically just to check on them. So people, the government, let's get something straight. The government generally doesn't do that unless they're highly suspicious of something. I'm gonna put that out there right now, but they do that. And it's kind of freaky. And it's very intimidating for people who have their heart in the right place. But I can also see it where it's a deterrent for those who just want it because they think it's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, how many Cobras do you have on hand right now?
Cobras here. I've only got the 2 Cobras. I've got the Malaysian King Cobra and I've got a snouted Cobra. But over the years, I've had the spectacled Cobra. I've had 2 monocled Cobras, a Cape Cobra. I've had forest Cobras, a red spitting Cobra. So I've had quite a few Cobras. I was always about rattlesnakes, and then I got a Cobra, and I was like, wow, because this thing was mental, and I like that. And ever since, I've been a lapid daft. So I've got 1 rattlesnake here at the moment, but the rest are lapids.
Wow. I'm trying to think. Why haven't you had a king yet?
I've got a king. I've got a Malaysian king here.
Oh, okay, Malaysian king. Okay, I was thinking like the massive king, the one in India where it's like 3 times the length of a person.
Oh yeah, I've got one here. The one I've got, it's a Malaysian male king cobra, and they are the longest. They're the venomous snakes.
And he was the nice one, wasn't he? He was the one that you were sitting down next to and letting crawl over. Yeah.
Yeah. He's an absolute puppy dog. Like my height, it's only 5'3", and I always wanted a king cobra, so I was going to go for one of the smaller kings. I was looking at a Chinese banded, but for some weird unknown reason, I still find myself with a male Malaysian. So he came here as a baby, and I had to make a choice. Did I want a 15 to 18 foot puppy dog, or did I want a 15 to 18 foot nutcase? So when he came here, I started to work straight away, and I interact with him. I interact with him daily, and they're quite intelligent snakes. They soon pick up that you're not a threat, and my theory paid off, because now he's hitting 9 foot, and he's an absolute puppy dog to work with. Super easy.
Oh, okay. And it was the other Cobra that was a handful for you. The one that wanted everywhere. He seemed more angry that he wanted to go places, and you're like, no.
Yeah, fudge. I had a forest cobra here, and that's they're the longest true cobra species in the world. And I've got the king here, but because I keep my venomous snakes in a back bedroom in the upstairs of the house, I couldn't keep 2 huge cobras in the same room. So I parted with the forest cobra for a snouted cobra, but snouties are quite big as well, so it didn't quite pan out the way I wanted it to. But yeah, this boy just won't calm down at all. Doesn't matter what you put into him, he's wired.
I was wondering if he was wild caught. That was my question, but then I realized you guys have the more strict laws than we have. We can't have imports when it comes to venomous creatures. That's why I say you can't have you can't bring your collection with you unless you go through from basically reputable breeder to reputable breeder, and then you can basically step it into the country legally that way. But that's extremely and painfully slow and expensive. But what we do have here is we have the ones that have been established before the laws were established, and from private collectors. So that's how the population here in Sweden got basically where it's at now.
Right.
And also, you have to understand, cobras cannot be a invasive species here in Sweden. We're way too cold.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I think there's one of the reasons why it's a little more strict to have rattlers, because and turtles and frogs, is because those can actually become invasive. And with Sweden, we're kind of landlocked, so you can't. I mean, you can't. Yeah, there would, if something got into our country that didn't belong here, it's going to be very hard to get rid of it, and there's no predator. So that, yeah, it's just frogs and turtles are very tight on. But again, it's the invasive species that they're focused on. The non-invasive are usually the warmer climates, which is usually the bigger animals. Are, for one, our source with our what do you call it? Our environment wouldn't be able to support a large animal like that. And number two, we just get simply too cold. Our winters are very, very cold, even for the southern part of Sweden, which I think is more temperate, but still, you can't take a desert animal and stick it in a temperate area. It would just freeze to death during the wintertime.
Yeah, it sounds like Scotland as well.
But then my next question, you also had a Taipan. Now, do you handle your Taipan like you do your puppy dog? You sound so weird.
Yeah, I treat every snake in here the same. I use a hook more with her, but when she's out and about, she's fine. It's just when she's in the vivarium, she's quite viv defensive. But I've had her since she was a baby as well. Once she's out, I sit down with her and she's super relaxed. She's happy to come over to me. And Taipans are twitchy, so I'm slow, I'm calm, and I believe that she picks that up off of me, and I've never ever had a problem with her.
Knock on wood.
I've had 2 Papua New Guinea Taipans, and the most trouble I've had out of both of them is when they're in the vivariums, but both of them, when they were out, they were fine. My last one, he used to whip his tail on the side of the vivarium, and there would be blood spatters all over the viv because he'd just go mental whipping his tail. But as soon as you had the snake out and about, he was absolutely fine. And then as soon as you put him back in, he was nuts again. It was weird.
Yeah, no, it's like I said. Well, as Spider-Mom says, Taipans are no joke. But I also want to make something very, very clear to the audience. I know that it's pretty much the same audience that I have with Scott. I know a lot of Scott's followers come over to mine and apparently liked what I do here. Yeah. But sometimes you get the one listener in there that is new. So for everybody that is new, please keep in mind that this man has years of experience. How many years of experience do you have?
With venomous snakes, 11. No, it'll be 11 years in March.
Exactly. That's my point. You have years of experience.
I do also need to add, like, if you're looking to get into venomous snakes, please remember that every snake is an individual. So just because you've seen a video of me with my king cobra and I'm up close and personal with him, your king cobra or someone else's king cobra might be a whole different kettle of fish. I work with these snakes daily. I know their personalities. I know when they're annoyed. I know how to read them quite well. I do accept responsibility if anything happens. I do understand completely that's my fault. But I've sort of felt, since I got the king cobra, he is going to be, potentially an 18-foot snake, but it should max out about 15. Because I'm quite small in height, if I've got a snake like that on a hook, he can whip round, be in my face before I know it. So I've learned that a lot of king cobra keepers tend to use their hands more. So I'm more sort of fell into the free handling side when I got the king cobra. And I've just developed for there. It took me about 9 years of keeping venomous snakes before I got that comfortable. But because I've got autism as well, I've got Asperger's syndrome, and when I was younger, I used to be petrified of snakes, and I managed to overcome that fear. But the problem is, I've put fear in a closet, closed the door, and it doesn't matter what snake I'm dealing with. There's just no fear there at all now. Um, so, hence why I could be so calm when I've got a mamba like right in my face. But what you see me do, if you've seen videos of me handling, please just don't do it, because it's highly dangerous. Don't think, well, he's doing it, I'm going to do it. Just be your own person, develop your own style. Obviously, you can learn from people, but just be you and do what you're comfortable with. It took them ages to talk me into doing videos and stuff, because I was so damn paranoid that someone was going to see it and copy what I'm doing. But people have got their own minds. If people want to go out and do something, they're going to do it. So as long as I'm giving a stern warning, just don't do what I'm doing, at least I've done my part.
Well, actually, I think this is a pretty good way to move into some music. I've got a song that you sent me, and I would love to share with everybody. I really like it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're into some punk rock, punk, kind of an alternative rock. I just really like the song. So, we've got you call yourselves the Corsairs, right? Corsairs.
Yeah, we're called the Corsairs. This song is Moon Shambles, and just before you put it on, did you tell me to put my mic on mute when you've got music on? Yeah.
Yes. The reason why is because the reason why it saves me from actually trying to shut down your portion of the soundboard, and then and then go back through and try to lighten everything up before the end of the song. So it's just easier for just hit the mute button.
Excellent. No problem. But yeah, we're called the Corsairs. You can check us out on Facebook. If you like we hear.
All right, everybody, we've got Moon Shambles from the Corsairs. Welcome back, everybody. Oh my goodness, that was fun. Yay! Our very own Paul Dunn. I don't get to say that right now. Oh. There we go. Oh, sorry, my pillow. I have a pillow on my chair to help my posture, and it scooted down a little too far, and I'm like, no! I'm getting thrown off my seat.
That's cool.
So
I'm sitting on a solid floor.
Okay, so there were many people were talking about the quality of the sound, the quality of the music sounded pretty apparently pretty bad.
It's an older recording. That's for 2017, and the way we had to send it, so it could have been a wee bit bad. But guys, new album on the way. Everything is sounding 100 times better. So just keep your eyes and ears open for that, and we'll have a release date soon.
I don't think it was you. I think it was me more on my part because I'm had to fiddle with trying to get my voice as well. It was a fun experience, let's put it that way. So I hope you guys like this song. I apologize if the sound quality was bad on my part. Don't know what to say there, but I do have everything recording in the background, so I'm going to probably end up replacing all of the audio with the audio that I'm gonna have to clean up here very soon after this part. Editing never ends. It's a never ending story.
Guys, if you go into SoundCloud and you type in the Corsairs, you'll hear it as it should be.
There you go. That's a good. And I even have it linked in the description below on SoundCloud. So, Ophi's Spider-Verse actually had said, "Hey Scott, later on I'm going to message you. I have a few questions and concerns. I have." Because I love to learn as much as they can, and so they're glad that you're around to help. So basically, I think they're gonna start setting up some enclosures and stuff like that for. I think they're trying to get into reptiles and snakes in general. I'm not too sure what's going on with that. Ophi, if you'd like to elaborate a little more, feel free. Also, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we do here, leave a like. Leave a comment in the chat, and also feel free to share the show since I wasn't able to share the show as I would like. Unfortunately, people started jumping on, and then we had Paul come on, and I wasn't able to share it as much as I like on Instagram. So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to share the show for me, I'd be very thankful and in your debt. Now, we were talking about your experience. Now, a friend of mine had brought up we have some of the toughest conditions on the animal welfare here. And that's what I was talking about when it came to the rescues and owning animals. We have very tough laws when it comes to that. But when it comes to invert laws and care, there's really not. But there is, like I said, there is that one random rule about fish. It's like, are you kidding me?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, no, you could put as many hides in there, but if they don't have a corner to hide in, you can't use it you cannot use it as an aquarium. So I thought it was just funny because you always see these beautiful betta fish in these bowls with plants and stuff. You cannot do that here in Sweden. You actually have to put them in a square in basically a water dish, if you want to call it like that, or plant dish, or what do you want to call it. So yeah, no, it's Scott's Animal Visitors says, if they don't reply straight up, I am either busy or sleeping, but I always pick up and reply ASAP. Yeah, Scott's Animal Adventures is doing well. He's also my co-host now. He's a permanent co-host on Wednesdays. So Excellent. Feel free to come by and check our Wednesday shows out. This is basically where we just chill out. We'll do what we're doing now, but on Fridays we try to have a different guest on every Friday. And to share their thoughts and the process basically of thinking. Now, like I said, you have 11 years of experience handling these animals. You've pretty much handled some of the most dangerous animals in the world, lethal wise. I know everybody doesn't keep mosquitoes. Those are the most lethal, to be honest. They honestly do. They kill more people than any other disease or plague out there a year than anything else. Well, it's a spread of disease. They don't just spread malaria, which is the major killer, but they spread everything else too. So it's just like, okay. So my question to you is: have you ever gotten to a situation where you thought, this isn't my day, or crap, I'm gonna end up going out the window if things get too bad, or have you ever run into a situation where you regretted it?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. I've loved every single moment of it. And lucky for me, there's been no close calls. Just doing things my way. I just believe that if you're calm with the animal repays the favour. And it's worked for me. Do you know I've run into those situations you're talking about have been more like that with non-venomous snakes than I have venomous.
Okay, now you have to start sharing some experiences. You have to start sharing some stories. Non-venomous, some of the most I want to say slapstick moments, funny moments, and venomous slapstick moments. So you got to share some of your stories. So feel free to open up. I brought the
God, with the venomous, I've really just gotten on with it. It's something that I just seem to be naturally good at. As I say, because I've got Asperger's syndrome, I'm on the autistic spectrum. Just when I was younger, watching Steve Irwin on the TV, I soaked in everything he was doing like a sponge. My theory side is absolutely terrible. So if you were to ask me, right, if that snake bit you, what would it do to you? My artistic answer would be, right, I'll kill you. I couldn't go into detail about what's in the venom and what happens and stuff like that. But anyway, with the venomous snakes, I've never really had any of the moments. But with non-venomous, like taking in 12-foot African rock pythons as rescues and stuff like that, it's like, oh shit, what have I done, sort of thing. Or triactile macho, if somebody brings in a yellow anaconda and they're like, right, this is a biter. And then there's me, I'm like trying to nah, don't worry about it, and I'm picking the snake up, getting bit to shit. It's moments like that, I'm like, what am I doing? But with the venomous snakes, I've never really thought about it. Maybe when I got my first snake, my first ever venomous, proper venomous snake was a copperhead. And it might have just been like, right, Paul, you've got this, you're on your own. And I think that's probably the only time I've felt like that. And it's just been like, right, it's here now, get on with it. And luckily for me, the way I've fell into handling them and stuff, I've never really had a problem with them. But yeah, the more sketchy moments come with the non-venomous stuff. Like I'll take in big constrictors that need rehoming, and next thing you know, you've got like this big 8x3x2 vivarium in the living room with this big 12-foot African rock python, and it's like, oops.
You're like, it's a little too small, and they're going to come out with a vengeance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, my question to you. Okay.
On you go. Nah, ladies first, on you go.
My question to you is, what do you think about it what do you think when you see when you go to a zoo and you see their enclosures there? Because one thing that's always amazed me is when you see people who are into the hobby, whether it be herp or if invert or is some sort of an exotic along the line of the exotic care. What is your thoughts as a keeper and somebody with experience with handling and venomous creatures when you go to a zoo and you see these animals? What's the first thing that goes through your head? Do you check their welfare, or do you down on the people working there, or do you actually oh wow, they're doing pretty damn good? What are your thoughts on that?
The strangest thing about Scotland is no one will touch venomous snakes with a 10-foot barge pole. So zoos here don't have venomous snakes. Shops here don't sell venomous snakes. I can count 3 of us at the moment that have venomous snakes in the whole of Scotland. The only time I've really seen venomous snakes in a zoo is when I was in Benidorm, and I thought they were fine. I liked it. I liked the way they had it set out. They had a big reptile house, and everything just looked beautiful. But as for seeing other people's collections and stuff like that, I've not seen many, to be honest. Usually, if I go to shops, if I go to like buy something, like I've seen venomous snakes in shops, and I thought to myself, that's pretty shit. I was in one guy's hot room once, and you could literally stretch out both arms and touch the walls. That was how wide this room was. And I criticised that a little bit. He had a huge 13-foot king cobra in there. He had a pygmy mulga, he had taipans, he had a black mamba. If something went wrong, you've not got room to swing a cat. But in zoos, I've only ever seen venomous snakes in one zoo, and honestly thought they were spot on with it. And I know the guy that works there, so I know he's quite good at what he does.
Okay. Yeah, because I have to give praise here in Sweden as well. We have a place in Stockholm. It's basically a herp house. It keeps all. I mean, they've got. I believe they even have. No, I think they got rid of the crocodile, but I do know they have alligator there, as well as some of the most dangerous and venomous snakes, as well as non-venomous. Because remember, care-wise, we do have pretty strict laws here, but when it comes to sale and all that, our laws are pretty laxed. And when it comes to rescues, up to a certain foot, the rescues can't even take in the animal. So if you have a 3 meter, like I said, a 3 meter reticulated python, you're not really going to find a rescue to be able to handle, because the animal will need so much room. And so they go to basically to this herp house that has these beautiful setups, and the government does fund them, and so, as well as nonprofit and personal, personal donations. When you walk in, I got into the discussion we got into the discussion during a recording with Scott. Not Scott Inverse, but the Scott that's in the room right now. Say hello, Scott.
Hi, Scott.
But we were talking about that, and the herp house is beautiful, and like I said, the people that come in when they pay for a toy, when you're paying 40, 50 euro for a toy, it's basically 30 euro goes right for taking care of the place, and the 20 euro is for the making of the doll and the shipment and the storage and the paying the employee kind of thing. So it's just like, there's a reason why it's expensive, and it's to help, maintain. Zoos don't make money.
Yeah.
If you're going to open a zoo, you're not going to be the richest person in the world, I promise. And you're probably going to be really stressed out.
What I found about Scotland is nowhere keeps them. I'm sure Edinburgh had monocled cobras a long time ago, and I don't know if they had them all euthanized, but it was something to do with breeding. They wouldn't breed, and I'm pretty sure they had them all euthanized. But I'm going back because a long, long, long time. When I wanted to keep venomous snakes, I'm 42 now. I was 31 when I got my first one. I was told that I would never ever do it in Scotland, and you don't tell me stuff like that, because I went and did. I done it, and nowhere. I always wanted to work with them, but nowhere up here will touch them. If you go south of the border in England, you've got shops selling them. There's people keeping them. The zoos have got them, but up here in Scotland, nowhere's interested. I've tried approaching a couple of places, but nowhere wants to deal with them whatsoever. At one point in time, I'm pretty certain I was the only person in the whole of Scotland that had venomous snakes. But then two of my friends came back to it, so I know they're keeping. And for all I know, there could be people out there keeping them on the side, like under the radar, but like licensed wise and doing it by the book, I can count 3 of us at the moment.
Okay, that's not a lot of people, but at least
it's mental. It's mental. So when I got my first venomous snake, I knew, right, Paul, this is it. You're totally on your own. Get on with it. And as I say, just for watching Steve, like I'm self-taught. Just for watching Steve Irwin and other herpetologists and stuff like that. I learned a lot, and the handling stuff, like, it's just totally natural to me. I just jumped in and got on with it. But usually, if anybody's want to get into them, I'll always recommend going on a handling experience and getting some time with them, because it's different seeing them in a zoo or seeing them in, like, on the TV and stuff. As soon as someone puts one in front of you, it will help you realise quite quickly if that's what you want to do. But yeah, up here when I got into it, there was no one, just me.
Well, do you want to take another quick break? I need to take a refill, and I've got now I have way more questions to ask you. Plus, Scott Invert's in the house, the man that has sent you my way.
Yep.
Do you feel bad?
No, I'm happy you've got me on. Thank you.
No, I'm actually really happy you're here. I was just like asking if you were kind of nervous, since Scott is here now. Now we can make fun of him. Like, he made fun of me last time. Now I can make fun of him.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our next song coming up. It is Break the Line by Coma Svensson.
The dream came true, waking up last night, walking down the line. It's never enough, I can't get it out of my head, falling asleep instead. It's a long way down at the speed of sound. Oh, my love, what's on your mind? Stupid laughter, I feel like a number one under the fading sun. And our hearts beat faster now, we follow the tracks till we're lost, keeping us safe in the dark. A long way down to the same old song. Oh, my love, what's on your mind? Round and round, open your eyes. Now the dreams are scattered, and there's no way back when we run. Just gotta break the line. Just gotta break the line. Just gotta break the line. It's a long way down at the speed of sound. Oh, my love, what's on your mind? dreams are scattered, and there's no way back when we run. We just gotta break the line. We just gotta break the line.
And welcome back, everybody. We've got some people that just jumped in. We have Bailey's Bug Blog, who is up at an odd hour since they have to get up early in the morning. Thank you, Bailey, for being here. I'm sorry you're not sleeping well. We have Scott Inverts in the house, even though he is late. Give him a little bit of crap. I heard our Scott Inverts, our normal little Scott, is here, as well as Cold-Blooded Monsters. So I hope everybody is doing well today. We've got Paul Dunn with us this evening. I'm kind of excited about this. We're talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is actually reptiles. Even though I'm a huge, huge lover of tarantulas, there's a reason why I keep them. I'm also got a soft spot for my little corn snakes. So now my question to you is, how many times have you been bit by a non-venomous? Because you've claimed you've never been bit by a venomous snake, but you've never really answered that question about the non-venomous.
Non-venomous snakes, I have totally lost count. Honestly, I've not got a clue. Oh God, I've been bitten by bull snakes, boa constrictors, anacondas, corn snakes, king snakes, you name it, I've been bitten by it. Hognose snakes, rare found venomous mangrove snakes. God, but like true hot snakes, I've never been bitten.
Is it because you respect them so much?
Say again?
Is it because you respect them so much?
Yeah, but I even respect like non-venomous, and the little shits still bite me.
Sorry. I feel like I'm the same way when it comes to my tarantulas. My new worlds are always ones that tag me, but it's my old worlds that are like, nope, screw you. I'm gonna go do my own thing.
Totally. As I say, I have more trouble with non-venomous snakes than I do with the venomous ones. Apart from the snouted cobra that's here, he's just an asshole.
Hey, he's just got a little spunk to him. He's more inquisitive and he doesn't like being held back.
Oh, the guy's lost it. He's looking at me right now. He's like, he's got the head out the hide and he's like, I'm watching you.
He's hungry. He's always hungry. He's hungry hippo. Gotta feed him.
No, totally. He got 2 rats today. He got his own one, and then the mamba didn't eat because he's going into shed. So got the mamba's one as well. So he's sitting there feeling all pleased with himself.
Stefan Harup was asking if you have a channel, and actually, yes, you do. Do you mind sharing your channel and promoting your channel a little bit?
Right, you can. God, I'm on Facebook. Obviously, if you just type in Paul Dunn, you'll find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, although I don't use it much. But same thing, type in my name. I am on YouTube. Same thing, type in my name. See on everything, just type in my name. I'm sure I've got Twitter, but I don't use it. But type in my name. The only channel I've got where you don't have to type in my name is for the band, and for that one you just type in The Corsairs. But everything else, if you want to find me, just type in Paul Dunn and you will get me. I'm on YouTube, although I don't post many videos. There is videos of me with the snakes on YouTube, but because I've got 5, there's only so much I can show you. So I'm sort of stuck at the moment on what else to post. But yeah, I am on YouTube. And if you type in Paul Dunn, I should be the first thing that comes up. And you'll get me on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I am on Twitter, although I don't use it. But yeah, there you go.
Oh, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a lot of channels, so you can go check him out.
Yeah, I'm quite easy. I'm quite easy to find.
Ben and Stacy have just joined us as well. Thank you, Ben's Pets and Stacy West. It's a pleasure to see you. Love you guys. I'm glad everybody's starting to pile in. Sorry, we're just running a little slow here, but you guys haven't missed too much. Just a couple of songs, and you've missed one of Paul's best songs. I think personally. Scott Invert says Snapchat pics of Paul's snakes, and he's laughing.
I only use Snapchat for the filters. That's it.
Now, remember, Hutker said was talking about our stricter laws on welfare here in Sweden. We cannot feed live animals. Anything basically anything that has fur, you're not allowed, or feathers, you're not allowed to feed live. So it has to be humanely put down and then frozen or freshly, given once it's been humanely put down. Now, do you have that same law in Scotland, or do you have, or can you feed just willy-nilly?
It is in the UK. It is frowned upon to feed live. But I think for like some snakes, if there's no choice but to feed live, then I'm pretty sure you're allowed to do it as long as you breed your own for it. And as long as you don't post it on the internet because if you post it on the internet, it could be seen as you doing that for entertainment. And I'm sure that's against the law as well. But some snakes will only eat live, so sometimes you have no choice, and you've got to feed them live to get them started, to get them going. I had a couple of Asian vine snakes coming here not too long ago, and they would only eat live lizards. So I was sourcing lizards from the people that owned the vine snakes. But when they ran out, I was like, I can't keep your snakes here because if they die, I don't want to be responsible because I can't feed them. So I had to give them back. But they were wild caught and they would only eat live. Me personally, when I was younger, when I was about 14, my friend had a snake, and this is going back to the 80s. He used to just throw in live mice, and it sort of desensitized me to it, so it doesn't bother me as much if I see a live feeding video. In the past, I have gave venomous snakes live food just to see how the venom works and how quickly it happens, and also to give the snake a chance to do what it was designed to do. But it's usually always frozen thawed. As I say, I've had snakes in the past, and I've given them one opportunity to do what they're meant to do, and then the rest of the time it's just frozen thawed. But in the UK, it is frowned upon. They don't like it.
In Sweden, it's illegal. As Scott Animal Adventures put it, vine snakes require geckos and lizards as a diet, and that's pretty much what you were saying as well. And the live snakes here, we actually have to humanely put them down and then make them look alive and try like hell to get them to eat. It's more stress on the animal, I think, to be honest, but that's what we have to do here to be with our legal limits, which is very, very unfortunate. But when it comes to inverts, believe it or not, the law does not include inverts. It does not include insects. It does not include arthropods or isopods or anything basically of that nature. And so you can feed your tarantulas live, but when it comes to mice, rats, bunnies, basically anything that has fur or feathers, I'm not too sure about fish. I think fish are also in that realm, which makes no sense because turtles will eat goldfish live. And so I'm a little lost on how to get around those laws, but people keeping them do, and I'm a tarantula keeper. I just know from the zoo's point of view, when I was doing my internships, we had to do so much, and it was just straining, and it was rough. Do you keep an animal to starve? Do you let them starve, or do you actually break the law? I mean, it's up to you. And so it was kind of like a back and forth, back and forth. And so we would do just about everything in our power to make a prior killed animal seem alive. And only a portion of the time did it work. And it was just amazing, kind of the stuff that we had to go through. But luckily, it does not apply to inverts at all.
Yeah.
So thank goodness.
I suppose it's like just the type of situation you find yourself in. If you're like hunting for a mamba everywhere, and then someone's like, "I've got one," and you get it, and it turns out to be wild caught, the thing's never going to have seen like a frozen thawed rodent in its entire life. So situations like that, you might have to throw in a few live mice just to get it going, and then
Actually,
try and get it on the dead.
in the wild, they're scavengers. So yes, they will do a what we call a forced hunger strike. So they will go into a hunger strike, and what will happen is then they start going into scavenger mode. That's when you can start feeding them the pre-kills. And that what we would do is we would warm them up. We would thaw them out and then warm them up with warm water, then dry them off with a hair dryer, and then let them sit on an actual radiator. And then get warm to a particular degree. Don't ask me; it's been a long time. What temperature it was, but basically a normal body temperature for them. And then of course you're constantly rolling this dead animal, which makes you feel really kind of weird.
Yeah.
Just to point, I'm just going to point this out. It's really, really, really weird to take a prior dead animal that is now squishy. Let me put it this way: rubber gloves were involved. Lots of rubber gloves were involved, and then once they got to a body temperature that was what do you call it, required or acquired, then we would be able to feed them, and they did really well on that. But it was the forced feeding. It was not forced feeding, but the forced hunger strike mode, or basically turn them into scavengers at that point.
Yeah.
And then what you would do is we'd take tongs and we would gently move them as much as possible with at a length, because there's no way my hand's going anywhere near that. Just saying. But yeah, it worked out really well. Now some people are commenting about. Okay, let's see. Hold on 1 second. I thought I saw it somewhere. Okay, yes. Scott Invert says illegal in UK to feed live fish to fish. Kept predator fish, so I also had fish that bred a lot. Hey, there you go. I guess that's a good way of getting around that law.
I hope you had them in a square aquarium.
Well, as you know, Scott lives in the UK, so just saying, it's nowhere near us. Scott Animal Visuals also says garters need fish in their diet, just as rodents, because they obsess and everything else, and say that they develop a parge fatty, the fatty deposit. Basically, they're helping get fat, and so they have reserves because garter snakes will go into hibernation. So you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, back in the day when I was younger, we used to just go to the pet shop and like you'd grab fish and just throw the fish into the garter snake's water dish, and everybody the fish, and you were able to. Back then, you were able to go into the pet shop and they knew why you were buying them, and no one batted an eyelid. And then
nobody's enforcing it.
It was strange here because I kept snakes for years. And then the pet shops all of a sudden stopped selling them. And then there was a period of years that went past where I couldn't get snakes at all and I didn't keep them. And then all of a sudden out the blue, boom, my pet shop started selling them again. And it's just been like that ever since. And things have been like different, and things have been viewed different, like for when I was younger and stuff like that. A lot have changed. Yeah, like when I started keeping the venomous, like I'm going back 11 years when I got my DWA license. But before that, like, I was told that I could keep certain rare fanged venomous without a license, and I got a mangrove snake sent up from England, and they sent me this vivarium and stuff, and it came with a thermostat, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Because like when I was younger and when I started keeping them, you'd plug a heat mat into the wall, and that was it. That was the norm. So it came with a thermostat, and I'm like, what's this? And I had to learn how to use a thermostat and stuff, which completely makes sense.
A little bit.
Yeah, totally. But back in the day, you would just plug the heat mat straight into the wall, and away you went. So when this thing came, I was like, what the hell do I do with that? And phoning around everyone asking, what do I do with this? And I found out what it was, and I was like, right. And it completely makes sense. So a lot of change when I was younger, like feeding laws, and then like thermostats and stuff like that. I don't know if it's just because of the area I lived in, and we were just like a wee bit slower to get certain stuff. But yeah.
No, I want to touch on something really quick. I just
sure.
want to say I love our community, because we're talking about dead rats, we're talking about heating mats, we're talking about live food versus laws in UK, laws in Sweden, and then go back to feeding live fish, feeding dead fish, feeding live rats, and feeding or live mice, and then feeding dead rats. And then all of a sudden I love steak cooked medium rare. And then people are talking about steaks. I just love our community so much, how we start talking about dead animals, and then all of a sudden we start talking about actual real food.
God, guys, I love steak well done. So a lot of people are probably going to fall out with me over that, but I like my steak well done.
Oh, we can't be friends now. I gotta have mine medium or medium rare, so we can't be friends now.
Oh God.
The three things in this house, in my family, that will divide a family, and that's politics, religion, and then how do you like your steak. Those are like the three things that will destroy any family ties. Oh, we do have some people that have just joined us, and I am very happy to say Ellie Bug Babies has joined us, as well as Anton. Thank you guys very much for being here.
Oh God. Is that Anton, the little Glaswegian guy? He's got a big beard and a bald head. He stalks me. See, everywhere I go, he's there. He loves me.
Well, Eric's saying, if any exotic radio podcast friends come over to Podbean Podcast Friends, I strongly recommend to encourage people to support, and it will be listening to them in the chat. Yeah, no, Eric, if you ever want to start a podcast and you go on Podbean, which personally I'm not a big fan of Podbean, but it is a good platform when it comes to records. When it comes to recording your show, they have an excellent service there. Everything else just sucks. But I will say that the some of the podcasters there are really good. I hope they find a good place to go and get away from Podbean. But for now, I would recommend the Old Man's Podcast with Eric and Dina Joe. And Eric has been around for quite some time. I've known Eric for about a year now. Actually, yeah. I've known Eric for about a year now. My birthday's coming up this coming weekend, so. So anyways, there's the Old Man Podcast and a couple others like Slightly Serious and John DeVito. Definitely go check out those three. If you ever go to Podbean and you want to check out some podcasts because you're bored, definitely go check them out. Especially the Old Man Podcast. It's, Grammy's there, and that's just some old time, wholesome, good comedy, a good laugh. The Old Man has a stint about cursing, so he never curses, and he won't let his guests curse either, which gives it quite a charm when you go over there. It's really fun to listen to.
I'm trying to be as nice as possible, because everything I say has usually got an F in it or a C in it, or I'm trying my hardest here.
Yeah, no, but Have a Drink with Me Friday really isn't geared for children, but please, yes, thank you so much for keeping the F word down. I'm into construction, so it's very hard sometimes. Especially if I get on a rant, and then I'll just start cursing every other word, and it's like, oh crap. I gotta shut up. Like song, because I always catch myself doing it. But that's just years of construction work will do that.
I'm just years of being Scottish.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but now we've heard it from the horse's mouth.
Oh yeah, and I do have to add that I am now having a drink with you. I've got coffee here, so I am having a drink with you.
Yes, finally. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you're having in to drink right now. If you're having a drink with us, I think it's actually a pretty good segue to move into our next song. If you're okay with that.
Yep.
We have Heart Goes Numb off Epidemic Sound.
On the life that you're leaving, let it rest in a hole in the ground. Stick around for the great revealing of the fire you've been dancing around. All we hear is the sound of retreating. No one cares where you're coming from. My ears are still ringing and beating. I guess we all knew from the start. These are the days my heart goes numb. Yeah, one of these days will be the one. Looking for answers. What a disaster. These are the days my heart goes numb. My heart goes numb. Breathing the fumes of the ashes, the spirits light up the night, looking down the edge of forever. So stop me or take my advice. Have you lost your will for the saving? Are you finally going insane? Getting so fed up with believing, comatose, still alive. These are the days my heart goes numb. One of these days will be the one. Looking for answers, found a disaster. These are the days my heart goes numb. My heart goes numb. Looking for answers. What a disaster. These are the days my heart goes numb. My heart goes numb.
And welcome back, everybody. Apparently the pitch is off and I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to get the song. I'm trying to get the music good. And in my headphones it sounds differently than what you guys are hearing. And unfortunately, I'm baffled. I'm really trying to figure out what's going on with my equalizer and why it's throwing everything off. Ugh, I'm if I could, I'd just throw this whole thing out the freaking window. But I didn't pay for it. Did, so.
Guys, it's have a drink with me Friday. She is drunk.
No, unfortunately, I'm sober, which that just makes it so much worse.
Oh God, you should have stuck with the story. I was trying to cover for you.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm really trying to figure out what's wrong with my pitch. I normally do not have this kind of an issue, which it blows my mind. So some people are saying it sounds like inside of a tin can with just bass, and I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And so I was thinking maybe it was my FX Echo being off, but apparently it's not. It's just I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I've tried to fiddle with the bass. I added a little bass to it, and I tried to get the high up and the medium a little bit lower, and it's still not working. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Any ideas?
I've not got a clue. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm enjoying it.
Well, I guess Spider Mom 1978 goes, "What are you drinking?" I'm having mulled wine with a bit of a chilled mulled wine, by the way, with a little bit of rum. Tastes excellent, by the way. Just going to point that out. But this is most people like to serve it warm with a little bit of rum, which is excellent either way from my what do you say, experience, my taste buds. But right now I'm in the mood for something very cold, very crisp. The thing is with it though, my mulled wine came in a can. Mine didn't come in a bottle like normal. So I was just like, yeah, screw it. I'm just gonna buy this canned flavor version of it, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna go away pretty soon because it's not the best. I'm contemplating adding more, more wine to it, or not wine, but more rum to it, just to kind of kill the aftertaste. It really is not that great. But I do have some Coke, and I'm going to switch to Coke and rum here very, very soon. Again.
I've run out of coffee, so I've got antiseptic disinfectant here. It looks like whiskey, so we'll see how that goes.
No, stay away from that. Just make yourself another pot of coffee. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you are having a drink with me and it's more of an adult beverage, please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive. And if you're into taking care of your animals, take care of them tomorrow. Especially if you're drinking. Booze and animals do not get along. It's not fair to them. It's not fair to you. So don't do it. I fancy a drink that's got some alcohol in it. Says Stacey West. And of course, Scott's Inverts is drinking his famous Yorkshire tea. He's probably going to have to send me some because we don't have that here. I was looking for it the other day. I was like, because he's always drinking it. So I was like, maybe I'll try some, and find it. And I'm like, I'm like, okay, we don't have it here. Ellie Bugs Babies. Yes, another coffee fiend. Gotta love my coffee fiends. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're into coffee, you're my best friend. If you're into well done steaks, though, I just got to call it off right there.
I do like coffee as well, so I hope that makes up for it.
Yeah. See that, like I said, it comes with the good and the bad. But oh gosh, we are an hour and a half into the show. Our show usually runs 3 hours on a Friday, so I think it's actually a pretty good place to start taking questions, Q&As, and so we can do. Eric says they're having watered down cranberry juice. Good luck with that. I can't do cranberry juice. Cranberry sauce. Every time I think of juice, I'm thinking of the sauce. We have something a little bit better here. Instead of using cranberries, we have Well, we do have our own. It's a what do you call it? It's oh gosh, it's a red berry. It's at the tip of my tongue. It's not. I wanted to say cloudberry, and I'm like, no, cloudberry is no. Scott says I'll send some out next week. Cracks. I'll send mom some too. Yes, please do. Please do. I'd be so happy if you did. That would be awesome. Eric says it's good for the kidneys. Yeah, but so is ours. But ours is a little tastier. But it's not a gooseberry. It's not a cloudberry. I'm trying to think what it is. It's a common berry here. And it can almost, we're probably one of the few countries that actually have juice in the, when you go to a McDonald's and you see get your own soda. We also have this particular juice up, and for some strange reason, I cannot think of it. It's escaped my mind.
So is it like a type of gooseberry?
I wanted to say it's a gooseberry, but it's not a gooseberry. It's it's not a cloudberry either. And that was the first thing that came to mind. And I'm like, nope, that's not it either. It's kind of like a currant, but it's really not. It's here in Sweden, and I feel like I'm the thing is, I feel like I've made a disservice to Sweden, because it's like here's my best friend, and you've known this person for several years, and you just couldn't remember the name right on the spot. That's kind of how I feel right now.
God.
I'm like, I've drank this juice for many years, but I'm like, what is it now?
What are they called? This is going to annoy me. Right, here we go. We're going on a tour of the house. I hope she knows. We'll find out. 2 seconds. What are they teeny wee red berries called? Kind of like the Martinhood, like gooseberry. They're no gooseberries, eh?
Well, it's not a gooseberry.
Wee red berries are like tiny wee things. It's like a fruit. No, they're no cranberries. They're red, but we don't know what they're called. Nah, nobody here kens.
Lingonberry. Thank you. Lingonberry. They're lingonberry. I was like, for some strange reason, I just I couldn't remember for the life of me what it was, but it's a lingonberry.
Goji-berry?
No, lingonberry.
Lingonberry. Right, we've got it. It's like
and the thing is, I have Swedish friends in this chat, and none of them are quiet. They're probably laughing at me right now.
It was like who wants to be a millionaire? Because I asked a friend and I went downstairs and not a single one of them had a clue.
Yeah, no, it's a lingonberry. It's a Swedish fruit here. It is kind of like a type. It's sweet, kind of like a gooseberry. And as they age, they get a little sweeter. They're really good. But yeah, Stacy, it's a lingonberry. Let me type in it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a guy here that I know. In fact, I've seen 2 people here grow them, and I was like trying to explain. They're like small and red. No, I don't know what you mean. It's like
I'm just seeing if I spelled that right. Lingon, because yeah, I did. And it's one word. It's not 2 words. It's actually just. But yeah, like I said, I have 8 Swedish friends in the chat. So like I said, I'm pretty sure that they're having a good time at me. Right now, they're like, yeah, she's a dumbass. They're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure one of them was thinking, because he lives fairly close to me, he's probably thinking of coming over and stealing my drink from me and saying that, okay, you're done. You're cut off for the rest of the night. But yeah, it's a lingonberry. It's actually very tart, sweet but tart, and like I said, I like it. But yeah, you can go to any McDonald's, any fast food restaurant, and you'll see soda, and then you'll see lingonberry. You will not see any other juice. You will not see orange juice, apple juice, or anything like that, unless you're in a hotel, and that's a whole different story, and that's for breakfast. But you will always see lingonberry. Lingonberry is everywhere here, and it's actually really good. Even you can get lingonberry jam. You can have it. I put it into a sauce, put it on ice cream. I've yet to see it into a pie or a cookie. So I've not seen it because it's a really small berry. So I've not seen it put in a pie, like I said, a pie or any type of pastry. But I have seen it in a juice and jams, and usually it goes with lingonberry will go with pancakes, as well as whipped cream, or pancakes that go with your excuse me, pea soup. I was trying to think what it was in English. So you have pea soup as well. So, pea soup and pancakes is very common food here. It's a very common meal here. And you will see lingonberry on the side.
Oh, you're making me hungry.
I'm sorry, say again?
You're making me hungry.
Well, if I told you what I had for dinner, that would make you really hungry.
I'm going to go downstairs and raid the cupboards and just eat absolutely everything.
Well, I got bored today, so I made myself something very, very, very nice. What it is like a ricotta, not ricotta, but what is that freaking pasta called? That looks like it starts with an R. It's like butterfly. It's got
Ravioli?
like not ravioli. No, it's like looks like a butterfly put together, or maybe it's not an R. Maybe it's called not fettuccine. They look like little bow ties, and I forgot the name of them. But anyways, you make those and you add a cheese sauce, like an Alfredo type of sauce, but it's a little thicker and a little creamier with the cheese. And then I added mushrooms and chicken to that, as well as cut up bell pepper with a little bit of onion seared into it. It was really good.
I'm a very, very, very finicky eater, so I would have left out the cheese and I would have left out the mushrooms.
Oh my gosh, you would never survive in this house. You would practically start at because picky eaters do not exist in this house. That's one thing I can say. If I make something, it's going to be gone within a day or two. After that, and then I got to make something else. So everything gets made in huge bulk here, because it's not just me; it's my brother as well. Because we live together. We're trying to pay everything together, and especially with COVID right now, it's kind of a necessity to have like a roommate type of scenario. Yeah. And we're trying to, like I said, if something gets cooked, it's usually 99.9% me. And if I want to eat it again, if I want to have it again, what's going to happen is we're going to, make it like in a huge pot. And it'll last between 1 to 2 days. Scott Inverts is actually asking, has anyone tried peanut butter milkshake? I like how we went from venomous snakes to straight into steaks, and then right now we're talking about peanut butter milkshakes. I've got one. Scott, I've got one better. I've had that, but I've had a different version of that. What you do is you add chocolate cake, bake a whole chocolate cake with the frosting. And now the frosting cannot be too thick, but it cannot be too thin either. And what you do is you put that in with your ice cream. Your vanilla, it takes vanilla ice cream, and then you add 2 scoops to a quart of this of peanut butter, and 2 scoops of your normal ice cream scoops, and make sure it's crunchy because crunchy tastes better. And then take your cream. It's a heavy whipping cream with a little bit of vanilla sugar, and put that in there with it. And what you do is then you put it in the blender, blend it up into a milkshake. Because then you have your chocolate cake, your peanut butter with a little bit of nut crunch, and then of course the whipping cream will actually help it turn into a milkshake, but it doesn't take away from the different flavors. And believe it or not, the peanut butter isn't overpowering the chocolate, but the chocolate isn't overpowering the peanut butter either. So it's like a creamy, thick Reese's Pieces kind of thing. If you guys have had Reese's Pieces, they're awesome. So you can add that, or not Reese's Pieces, but the Reese's Cups. You can have that, which is really super good. And it just, oh god, I can't explain the beauty in that taste. Now I wonder how many people just gained weight just listening to that.
God, 101 that I done. But see, like in Sweden, do you have sausage rolls?
Oh, we have sausages here, but usually it's in a form of a bratwurst or
Yeah,
a chorizo. I think it's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, what we have, we've got, like you go into any Greg's Bakers, all the people in the UK will know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about sausage roll. It's just like sausage wrapped in pastry and baked. But I've had them covered in chocolate.
Oh, nice.
It's the weirdest thing ever because you can get little mini ones. Like if you're having a party, you could put lots of little mini ones out. And it was an engagement party, and we had a chocolate fountain on the go. And I got one of these sausage rolls and put it under the chocolate fountain, and it actually went. The chocolate complemented the pastry, and then afterwards you got the sausage. It was absolutely bonkers, and I had all the kids eating them. And as disgusting as it sounds, actually, it went really well.
Oh, okay.
And that was a conversation killer. Okay, right, yeah, Paul, you just do your thing there.
I just don't know.
Okay.
I was just trying to think here because, I'm trying to listen to you and I'm trying to line up my soundboard and I'm trying to post comments as well. I've got like 3 things going on, and for some reason my brain just stopped. It was like, nope, you're out of commission at this point.
Yep.
No, Ellie Bugs Baby says, oh no, not sausage rolls and chocolate, just have a bacon sandwich with a broquet roll on the side. That sounds really good, actually. Have you had no, I'm gonna break away from food for a brief moment because we are here for the exotic animals. We did not come here to start inventing new menus. Now my question to you is, speaking of feeding animals, have you ever had the issue where you had to stop and cleanse your hands and wash your hands all the way up to like the elbows because of feeding and handling?
Because of feeding and handling, I usually only really clean my hands. But like the king cobra, he's a snake eater, so if I have been handling any snakes and I go to get him out, I'll like use hand sanitizer and clean my hands and my elbows, because the last thing I want is him sniffing a snake on me. But usually, like I'll come in, I'll do my thing, and then I'll sterilise my hands at the back of it, just after I'm done. But if I'm going to be handling the king cobra after I've handled any other snake, then I will like cleanse my hands. If I've been handling any rodents before, like snakes, I will cleanse my hands. Unless I'm about to feed, I've got long tongues, and then I'll do it that way. But I am quite sterile. I always, when I come in, I'll sterilise like my hands, and then when I go out, I'll sterilise my hands again. And if I've been in the hot room, if I'm going out and I'm going to handle any of the non-venomous, I'll always sterilise my hands. But yeah, I'm quite lazy. I just come in, do what I've got to do, and then sterilise it when I've got to go. Unless, as I say, I've been handling rodents, or if I'm going to get the king cobra out, usually I tend to handle him first before I handle any other snakes. But if I have been handling another snake, I always sterilise my hands and get rid of the scent of snake off my hands before I get him out.
I can imagine. So you really don't want them mistaking you for something else. That would lead to a very bad day. Now, question: the DWA, does that require you to know any type of first aid in case of the worst case scenario?
Yeah. If I get bitten, I've got to be able to apply any first aid that I need done myself before I go to the hospital. So, like, just say the green mamba got me on the finger. I'd have to secure the snake. I'd have to remove any jewellery in case there was any swelling. Then I would apply a pressure bandage from the site of the bite right up the arm. If I was able to splint it so I could keep it straight, I would. And then it'd be a case of phoning the hospital and telling them what's happened, and I've got emergency contacts there. I've got lanyards that I put around my neck telling the hospital what's bit me and stuff like that. But yeah, a basic knowledge of first aid is necessary, because if an elapid, I'm going to get tongue twisted, if an elapid bites you, by the time you get to the hospital, you're more than likely going to be dead, like, say, it was a mamba or the Taipan. So, yeah, first aid is a must. So, putting the pressure bandage on might buy some time. But do you know where I live? It's a strange one, because if I went into my local hospital, they'd just look at me and go, what the hell do we do? Seriously, it's scary, because I could pretty much guarantee that not a single one of them have ever dealt with a snake bite like any that I've got. I remember I once tried to talk to a doctor at the hospital, and he's like, yeah, we deal with snake bites all the time. And I'm just thinking to myself, nah, not like mine, you don't.
You're like, there's only 3 of us in this country that can.
It's absolutely crazy, and trying to get hold of the right people, because I've done this for 11 years, and trying to get hold of the right person at that hospital to say, look, this is what I've got. It's a nightmare, though. Like, palm you off on this person, and that person will make you call this person, and it's crazy. I've asked, I know people that work at the hospital and stuff like that, and I've asked them, who the hell do I speak to let them know that? And not a single one of them could help me. They're absolutely clueless. So I've got protocols in place that tell them exactly what they've got to do, and exactly who they've got to phone. And basically, look, this is an emergency. I am going to die. You have to forget that guy that's just been in the car accident, and you have to come and help me. It's a crazy thing, and a lot of doctors and stuff, if you went into the hospital and was like, look, you've got to deal with me before him, I don't know how they would react to that, Ken. It's like you're basically telling them how to do their job. Ken, you've got to do this now. But luckily, I've never been in that position, and I hope I'm never in that position, because my local hospital I don't think they'd have the first idea what to do. And the species that I've chosen to keep are pretty toxic. So, time wouldn't really be on my side. So it's quite mental.
No, I just realized something. I think I found out the reason why. Because you sound a little hollow, and I was trying to figure out why because I was listening to what you were saying, so don't get me wrong on that one, but I also was worried about the audio.
Yep.
And I think I just realized why the music sounds like they're going through a metal pipe. But anyways, going back to what you were saying. Yeah, no, it's pretty scary. No, question, knock on wood, and I hope this never happens. Do you know anybody who keeps anti-venom of the animals that you keep? And because that's about the only way it's going to save your life. You're going to have an anti-venom or an anti-venom agent. Is there any way you're going to have it administered in the worst case scenario, or are you just going to sign your death warrant?
Do you know, for a long time, I was like, I just accepted that if I get bit, I'm going to die. Because I always was under the impression that I would have to have anti-venom flown up from England, which could take a good couple of hours. But it was only like a couple of years ago, my council lady, when she was doing my inspection, told me that there is anti-venom in Scotland. So I often wonder if they've contacted the local authorities to find out what's being kept in Scotland, and obviously the councils have had to respond, so they've got anti-venom for the appropriate animals that are kept here. But I do know there is antivenom close by, like probably about 50 miles away from where I am, but it's closer than England. So yeah, I do know that if I am bitten, they can get it because there is antivenom for the appropriate species that I keep up here in Scotland. We don't keep it at home because, God, for a single vial of antivenom, sometimes it can cost up to 3,000, and you might need you might need 21 of them for a bite. So it adds up. Antivenom's got to be kept at a certain temperature.
And on top of that, even if you keep it right, the shelf life is it's not great. I think it's like 3 or 6 months. It's ridiculous. It goes away pretty quick.
And I know there's I know in some countries they even have to use antivenom that's way out of date because there's like a severe antivenom shortage. The same if I was to show up at the hospital and say to the doctor, "Here, go and put this into me," the doctor would like look at me and say, "No, that could be anything." And sometimes antivenom could be worse than the actual bite because they are using venom to make antivenom. So yeah, you do need a doctor to administer it. So here in the UK, we are lucky to have the NHS. So if I was bitten, I wouldn't have to pay for my medical care, which is quite lucky for me. And as long as my protocols are solid and it's got all the appropriate numbers on it, once they get to the hospital, they will phone up where they need to phone up. They will phone the local poisons unit and they'll be able to source me the antivenom needed.
And hopefully they can stave off the symptoms until then.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's symptoms that kill you. It's generally the first thing that kills you isn't the actual venom shutting your system down. It's the symptoms before that that kill you. The swelling of the throat. So it's like, okay, so my throat's gonna swell, my lungs are gonna fill up with fluid well before the actual venom kicks in and starts killing me. That's great.
It's absolutely bonkers. It's venom's a complex thing. If you're very, very, very lucky, you might, like, say the Taipan or the Mamba, for instance. If you're very lucky, you might get an hour or two, but a green mamba can kill you in as quickly as 30 minutes. And if you go into anaphylactic shock, God, that can kill you in as little as 80 seconds. It's bonkers, and you never, ever, ever know how you're going to react until that bite happens. It's
not something like you get a like a bee sting where you get like a second chance with an EpiPen. Heaven forbid. Gosh, no, I can't even imagine getting bit. But okay, I know you were going to go into something, but now we're on one of the few subjects that I actually enjoy because I have hypersensitivity.
You never know until that bite happens. The snake might be feeling generous and give you a dry bite, and might be feeling generous and only give you a small quantity of venom, or it could be feeling really pissed off and just give you the full whack. You just never ever know. I know of. I remember hearing a story about a guy in Africa. He was milking a black mamba, and he put the fangs on the beaker, but he didn't realise that one of the fangs was on the outside of the beaker, and it wasn't even a bite; it was a scratch, and the snake killed him in 80 seconds. He went into anaphylactic shock, and he was found dead. He tried to get the EpiPen, but because the venom was taking effect really quickly, he was confused. He ran in the opposite direction of the antivenom, of the EpiPen, sorry, and he was found dead. And yeah, it killed him in around 80 seconds, and that's due to anaphylaxis.
Yeah, so like I said, it's not the venom that killed him; it was his reaction to the venom. And that's something that I think that just goes with any animal, that it's either poisonous or venomous. Because I have adverse effects to tarantula bites, so I mean that it'll mess me up. So like I said, but I'm still lucky enough to have animals that will give me a second chance. But I think this is a good way to move on to our next song, because I need a refill. And I also want to get some people's statements out there. You've got Stacey West, who's saying that their son was wondering if I'm going to play Metallica. I cannot play. I can't play certain bands without explicit permission, and paying for Epidemic Sound's licensure allows me to actually play music on Epidemic Sound and the new artists that they produce. Also, we have Paul here, who gave me explicit permission to play his song. So yeah, I have to have explicit permission from Metallica, and they tend not to give small YouTubers like myself permission. They want that money, which is fair enough. They work their hearts out. They deserve the money. And then we have Ellie Bugs Baby down below saying, there's also the infection that you have to worry about in a snake bite, which that's also tarantula as well. I've had it go septic on me before, so it's not fun. But the bite with a reptile is way worse than with a tarantula. With tarantula, it's more like it's personal. I need to clean it, but versus a snake that eats dead animals. And harbors lots of different types of bacteria. Yeah, that's definitely going to mess your day up. So I think it's a good way to move into our next song. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I was just the way to say, you always have to remember it doesn't matter whether it's a taipan or a tarantula or even a hognose snake. When they say venom, it's called venom for a reason. So yeah, even like a hognose snake, I've seen some crazy pictures of hognose snake bites recently, and you never know until it bites you. Same with bees or wasps. You never ever know how you're going to react until it gets you. And so if you ever do get anything that's even considered mildly venomous, just keep that in your mind, that you never know how your body's going to react until you take that first bite.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we're going to move on to our next song. And
next
then
I'm going to run to the toilet and hope I could get done before the song's finished.
That's always a good hope and a prayer there. But I am going to try and see if I turn off there's a button here. I'm going to try and see if I turn this off and see if that works and gets rid of that hollow sound. Maybe that will help out a lot. And if it does, then I fix the problem. If not, then I will just turn it right back on, and then people can listen to the song as per se. But you guys have to tell me. You guys have to let me know about the quality of the music. Remember, the music's for you guys. It's not just, I'm not paying it just to play it. I'm paying it because I want you guys to listen to some really good music and highlight some really great upcoming artists, including Paul's band, the Corsairs. So, all right. Our next song coming up is Zeros.
Forever young, or am I faking? On the tip of my tongue, there's a sarcasm waiting for you. I'm willing to trade my soul for a bit of your charm. There's no way I fade into oblivion, 'cause I'll keep shining over you all with your wings entwining. You better face the fall, keep trying again. Oh yeah, keep trying again. There's mud on the floor, desperate people trying to get through the door, although the room's already crowded. But I'll keep shining over you all with Oh yeah, keep trying again. Zeros, everybody's trying to be heroes when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. You keep trying again. I'll keep shining over you all with your wings entwining. You better face the fall. Zero. Everybody's trying to be heroes when all they have to say to be okay is I don't know. Are you okay? I'm not that sure.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. I hope that was better, actually. If it wasn't, you guys, again, you guys have to tell me if there was like a drastic. Eric's like, yes, sounds better. He's giving the thumbs up.
It sounded much better. I lost you completely for a second, but I don't know if it's because I changed rooms and the reception went. But as soon as I moved again, the sound came back.
No, the thing is, yeah, you did, but the thing is, I had to turn off the main out because I was
Right.
wondering if the main out and the virtual out was going out at the same time, and it was kind of mucking things up. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I'm at a loss. I just know that
It sounded good.
Okay. Well, as long as it sounded good. Like I said, I wanted the top quality for you guys. I want you guys to hear what I hear. I want you guys to be able to experience what I'm experiencing because my main out, which is what I listen to, it gives me what it's supposed to sound like, and versus to what the virtual out sounds like. So I'm like, it can be completely different. And the thing is, there's such a slight lag if I jump on YouTube. There's actually a bit of a lag. So I can't listen to the YouTube versus what this is at the same time without you guys hearing it. So it's just like, oh, so you guys are going to have a kind of like an infinite echoed loop. And so, yeah, it just, no, I can't listen at the same time. So I'm trying to, like I said, you guys are my ears. You guys are my, yes, you have to tell me. So again, I hope that was as good for you as it is for me at the time. But if that's the case, then every time I'll have to turn off my main out and let the virtual play, and hopefully that works a bit better. Now let's see. We were talking about. I completely lost track of time. Ellie's bug baby says, well, good news, you sounded perfectly fine and my speakers worked well considering I left my phone in the living room and I was in the kitchen. Nice. I'm glad I can be a part of your day. That actually makes me feel kind of warm and cozy. I'm actually pretty happy about that. My cats, on the other hand, which I can hear outside my door, aren't exactly thrilled right now because, I'm keeping them away from mommy in their warm spot. They're not allowed in the tarantula room when I'm in here, unless I'm in here, excuse me. And they've got there's a furnace with a cat bed literally hanging off the furnace. And then you can imagine where they're comfortable laying at and why they're so upset they're being robbed of that spot. Okay, so
We were talking about antivenom because the reason why I wanted to bring up antivenom, because in the U.S. there are certain states that will not allow you to have certain types of animal without antivenom on hand, and as you were saying, antivenom is expensive, so
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to keep these animals unless you pay a certain amount of money, which allows you to have the antivenom. But in Sweden, it's all kept at the zoo, and the hospital will get basically will get the antivenom from the zoo. They won't keep they cannot keep it on hand. It's pretty much, I want to say it's not illegal for them to keep it, but it would be just a waste of money.
Yeah.
It's no interest for them. So the zoos have to keep it on hand because of insurance. So if something, the worst case scenario, they just contact the zoo, and the zoo will send it out, or they'll contact like I said, when you're a rescue, or if they ask you if you're going to be a collector, please tell us so we know, because you never know, you might get a phone call saying, so and so in next city over has been, one of their animals had bit them. Do you have any? Because it would be easier for you to bring it, quicker for you to bring it than it would be for the hospital. And what you'll do is more than likely either you'll give it to the ambulance that will show up at your door, or you'll get an escort, or you'll give it to the police officer, or they'll find some way of getting it to you as quickly as possible. And so we come pretty well prepared in that. And as we were, as Hoodker was saying, we have laws that are about the animal welfare. Like we're not allowed to feed our animals, live animals, or anything that will make them suffer. But we are able to keep these animals pretty much without check. And it's, there's a law that says, well, you're not allowed to sell. Well, if you're rehousing, it's technically not a sell, now is it? So they've figured out a way to get around it. And then rescues are highly regulated, mainly because it's now you've gotten the government involved, so you're gonna have to play by the government rules. And unfortunately, the contract is pretty intimidating. So there's nobody really wanting to adopt these animals. They'll go ahead and buy, because then they know they're not going to have the government knock on their door at midnight. But long story short, it's just it's just, I don't know how to say it. It's just really a really long list, depending on where you're going to get your animal. Now, there is a way of what we call stepping your animal in, and what will happen is you'll bring your animal to a reputable breeder, and then they'll say this animal is being on shipment, and you're paying for all the shipping and handling, you're paying for all the feeding, you're paying for all the housing, and then they'll have a bunch of paperwork to go with it, and then they'll be able to say, hey, we're sending it over to your border for care-wise, but we're not selling it. And because they have all the license for that. So again, you can get animals imported, but it would be a very, very long process. It's just best to come here and then buy from an existing breeder. You're not allowed to sell, put up for sale in third parties. I imagine with the DWA, you can sell if you wanted to. You get into the business of selling if you wanted to.
Yeah. Here, if I just say I was getting rid of a snake, I've got to get in touch with my local council, let them know who's buying the snake. I have to provide proof of their license as well. Then I've got to have it couriered down or take it down myself. And then if I'm taking on a snake, I have to give them proof of my license so they could show their council and stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah, we're allowed to sell them. If I was rehoming one, I would have to give her a shout and let her know, look, I'm taking this snake in, and it would be added to my license. But every time I add a animal to my license, it costs me 50 quid. It's honestly not cheap. And every council has a different price. So throughout the whole of the UK, it's not set. It's all set by every council. So my council say, I want to add an animal to my license, it costs me 50 quid. But if you go maybe 20 miles up the road to the next region's council. It might just cost them 25 quid, or it might not cost them nothing at all. It's the same with the yearly inspections. My inspection every year goes up and down like a roller coaster. This year it was £35. Last year it was £269.
Holy cow, that's a huge difference.
It's crazy. The year before that, it was about £100, and it depends how long you've got them in and stuff like that. And it's bonkers. Some councils just don't want venomous snakes in their region, so what they do is they bump the price up into the thousands, and they just make it impossible for you to meet the expectations. And it's nuts. It's nuts. But we are allowed to sell snakes, and we are allowed to buy them for other people. When, like, I could go up to a breeder and just buy a snake off him. I don't have to say that I'm rehoming it or nothing like that.
Oh wow. Yeah, I don't know what to even say to that. You would think that they would be fine with having a venomous snake. You know, it blows my mind because it's not like in the wintertime in Scotland, it's not like it can actually escape and survive. So who's going to get bit? It's not like you live in an apartment, and if you did, I imagine the laws are highly restricting, and pretty much it would be virtually impossible for it to get out. There are accidents; things do happen. But on that note, it's even extremely rare. It blows my mind. Because it is a market. You could actually have tax on that market and bring in extra income. Just think about it. I mean, tarantulas are huge in the numbers when it comes to the trade. So are various reptiles and amphibians. So why not on snakes as well? Yeah. I don't understand their way of thinking. As you said, they just don't want to deal with it. And so, yeah, well, I don't understand why they don't want to deal with it, but that's just me, coming from the business perspective.
The crazy thing is when you get your inspection, like you're dealing with a council lady, and the lady that I deal with has not got the first clue, or she didn't when she first came here. The vet that I dealt with has never worked with venomous snakes, or just simply not allowed to. And you're dealing with people that just have no clue about the subject. They should be sending like a council person in with someone who's experienced in the animals. I've said to my council lady, if you ever need me to come along with you, I'll come with you. And I was like, give me 5 minutes with the person, and I'll tell you whether or not they should be keeping a venomous snake. But it just falls upon deaf ears, and they continue to use people who are just not allowed to work with them or stuff like that. And
that's awful. That honestly, that's really awful.
That's crazy.
I don't understand. Again, I don't understand. We'll just put it down. I just don't get it. But I'm not really afraid. That maybe that's why I'm not quite seeing it, because I don't see the fear. Because to me, there is no fear. There's no reason to be afraid. Especially if you do everything according to procedure and you have all your safeties in check, and you're not in a hurry. You're paying attention. Again, I just don't see it. But it's just like my ASCAL. There's so many people who keep tarantulas who have fears about the ASCAL. They'll keep an HMAC, but when it comes to an ASCAL, they tend to, well, it's an ASCAL. It's like, wait, they're practically the same, especially when it comes to venom and effects. They're basically the same. They just come from two very different areas. So I don't understand why there's such a stigma around the ASCAL. And there's so many people that'll say, oh, you have an ASCAL, I'm not coming over. You have this, I'm not going to do this. It's like, you understand that this is a tarantula that's in its enclosure, and I don't handle my tarantulas. So there's no way you're going to be anywhere near this animal. Yeah, but wait until it comes out on a bad day? It's called a catch cup.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. People are like just so stuck in their ways, and there's just no changing their minds on the animals. They're like, that snake's going to bite you. I've seen it. I've heard that my friend told me that his one was sizing up his like girlfriend in her bed, and you get all this bullshit, and you try and explain to people it's not like that. But some people are just so stuck in their ways and so stubborn. It's unreal. And if they just understood a little bit more, their whole perspective would change.
Yeah, exactly. She was wondering what a Stropopelma ciliatum was in Esco. I'm copying the name because to spell it is like beyond my capability. Hold on one second. There we go. Nope, wrong one. There we go. The feather-leg baboon. Okay, yeah. Okay, there you go. I'm sorry. Common terms and common names for me is something I really don't do. So it's I'm thinking, oh, I have to give you the scientific name. I keep forgetting that yes, there is an actual common term, but yes, an escal. I don't know the short term. Yeah, but there you go. It's Stropopelma ciliatum or the feather-leg baboon. They're the pretty ones with the pretty little toes. They look like they have feathers for legs and with these little cute little black dots for toes. It's just they're just cute. Don't judge.
Do you know I was listening to you and I'm like, what the hell is an escal? And I know it's a spider, I do, but I'm just like, what is an escal? So I'm glad someone asked that.
Yeah, but then there's the HMAC, so which is the Starburst baboon. Just look up Starburst baboon. Like I said, the names, the common names, I really try to stay away from because there's people kind of get them mixed up. Like there's the fire leg and the red knee, or the red leg and the red knee. If you don't know what you're looking at, then if I say, hey, I have a red knee, you might think of it as a red leg and you might think of something completely different. That's why I stay away from common names. It's just the mix-ups can happen so easily. So it's just easier to stick to the scientific terms. But yes, I am very bad about shrinking them and making the names very, very short. So I'm very known for that. So I don't blame Ellie at all, and I'm not teasing her at all about that because I've had the people I've worked with in the past, go, what in the world are you talking about? I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Use your words. I actually had one. I worked with a tight group that we like to pick on each other, and we had a good time with each other. But they would run up to me and go, listen to words coming out of my mouth. I'm using pronunciation. What are you saying? Like, it's just this. And they're like, use the full name. Okay, I'm sorry.
The good thing about scientific names is if you're bitten, it doesn't matter where in the world you go to, you go into the hospital, they all use the scientific name and it's the same everywhere. So yeah. If you're bitten using the scientific name, they can find it. When I heard you mention starburst baboon spider, I remember when I was 16 going into a pet shop and I was after a South American pink toe. And I went into the pet shop and they had the South American pink toe and they had the baboon spider. And I was like, right, what's this one like? So he opened up the vivarium type thing that was in, and he poked it with the thermometer, and it just sat there. And then he opened the baboon spider's enclosure, and as soon as he opened it, this thing was up on its back legs, totally ready to attack. And I was like, I want that one. And I used to walk about with this thing in my hand, and I'd handle it every day. I've no idea what the venom is like. I just know it was notoriously aggressive, and that's the one I wanted. And I've been like that my whole life. hence why I'm sitting in a room with mambas and taipans and king cobras and stuff.
Yeah, no, Ellie was saying they only know the HMAC on the shorter end and the PPAT Shuriken. Yeah, no, I have to, I'm just gonna apologize now, Ellie. I'm so sorry, because like I said, I'm so used to shortening the long name terms down, and it confuses everybody. Don't feel alone. Don't feel. I think I've done it to Spider Mom a couple of times. Nothing wrong with using common names among friends who know they're spiders. Yes, that's one thing. But the thing is, I don't stop to think about using a common name because I'm so used to using scientific terms. But handling, I'm not a big handler, mainly because too many things can go wrong, and I don't want my animal getting hurt or getting away from me to the point where they can get hurt. So, like I said, I have 2 cats, so it would just be detrimental to my. Now, here's something that is not confirmed, but it is highly believed that a HMAC or a heteroscodra maculata or an HMAC or starburst can do is they can drop a cat, especially a small to a medium-sized cat, and which will lead to their death. I don't want to test it. I'm just gonna say, like I said, I have an HMAC and a SCAL, or the venom across the board is pretty much the same. Same in potency, basically same in strength or potency, and same in time frame. So they're pretty much the same across the board. Just for some strange reason, the Strapopelma has a stigma with it. What I do it to type the scientific name, but read it, but the common name. What I do is type the scientific name and then read out the common name. I can't do that for my brain just does not work that well. So I have to tip my hat to you, Ellie. I can't do that. I'm not that coordinated.
Do you know something, Ellie? I'm confused as well. I have no clue what she's talking about. I just know they're tarantulas. I'm a snake guy. So like the shortened versions or the full versions, I have no clue. I have to hear it in English.
Sorry about that. But yeah, no, like I said, any of my tarantulas get out, I don't want them to actually get themselves hurt or killed. And I know with cats, that's exactly what's going to happen. Cats are not a tarantula's best friend. In fact, they're quite deadly to a tarantula's health.
Do you know something? We had, going back years, we had 2 hamsters, and I'm autistic, and sometimes I don't think, and I introduced the hamsters to the cat. Safe to say that cats are quite dangerous to hamsters as well.
Yeah, poor hamsters. I feel so bad for them.
I was like, God.
That was you're regretting that, weren't you?
Do you know? Well, you see on TV that you see some cats getting on with hamsters and stuff, and I was like, right, I wonder if the cat will get on with the hamster. And nah, I should never have done that. Oops.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Sometimes the autistic brain just does not think.
Oh, my brain never thinks. Are you kidding me? It's like I have to bribe it to actually work.
Yeah.
No, my question to you is, how would one go about getting a DWA if you were in the UK?
How do you do it? This is a question I'm usually quite secretive about, because some people, you get so many people asking you, how do I do it? How do I do it? And just like sometimes you just talk to someone for like 2 seconds and you're like, the last thing you need in your life is a fucking cobra, but you'd approach the environmental health side of your council, and you would ask them about the process, and they would explain to you the conditions and stuff. But to start off with, you need to either be a house owner or you need to stay in a private let that's got a really understanding landlord. Because from what I'm aware, council houses, they just won't allow you to have anything like that in a council house. But just say you're all set up, you would contact your environmental health side of the council and you would tell them what you're planning on doing and what you want to keep. And they would tell you their conditions and what they expect from you. And they would ask you who you're going to use for your public liability insurance and stuff like that. And it's a kind of arse clenching process, because you could set up your whole room and they'll come out and inspect it, and they can still turn around and say, nah, you're not getting it, and you've just spent loads doing up your room. I know one guy that done this in his council. Every time they came out, they would just slap another condition onto what they wanted, and then they would meet that condition, and then they'd give him another one. And this guy spent thousands setting up his setup, and eventually it was like, nah, I can't do it. But the way you do it is you do approach your council. Usually they'll ask you for experience. I know where I live now, she's really clamping down on that. When I started, I was the only person where I am, and it was quite simple and straightforward for me to get my license. But 11 years on, a lot's changed, and they've been to my house to inspect it loads of times, and they've seen how I do things, and so they're probably using me as an example for like others that want to get into this. She was telling me that not too long ago, someone applied for their license and they didn't have a clue about the animal they wanted to keep. So now she's really clamping down on, she wants proof of experience with the animal. So if you're getting venomous snakes, she wants to see proof that you've got handling experience. And sadly, where I am, like, the only person that can give them that is me, and I'm not allowed to teach anyone.
That's ridiculous, because I was sitting there thinking, how would one go about getting experience if they can't apply to get an animal to get the experience, or they can't go to a experienced keeper to get the experience? It's like, I could see where they could be allowed to come to see you and be like, hey, can I volunteer for a couple hours on the weekends, every weekend or something like that? I could see then they'd be like, okay, well, that's an easy fix. Then they're getting the education that they need. But then on the flip side, I can kind of understand why they would want somebody like from the zoo or something to give us kind of a certificate, because then you can't have the buddy system. Like if you have a friend that wants to come over and get trained on it, but then doesn't, but we're buddies, right? You can, but the thing is, then you can also say the same thing about teachers as well. And some of those same scenarios. So it's a really bad, I think the whole experience thing, I mean, I can understand why she wants it, but then she needs to come up with a solution to the problem instead of being part of the problem. And so far, from what you've been telling me, it's nothing but a problem. So
it's crazy the way I do it. Like on my rules, I'm not supposed to have anyone in the room when I'm handling the snakes. But I've been quite open with her, and I've told her I've had people in here and I've had people watching what I do, because if someone's want to get into it, it helps to like see someone else doing it. You don't want them just going and doing it off their own back. Like I had to, when I got into it, there was no one here to teach me. I just had to go and get a venomous snake and get on with it. Lucky for me, I am the way I am, and I got through it. But the way I see it is, I've got these snakes, and if I could show someone at least how to do it, then it's helping them and benefiting them. So I've been quite clear with her that I have had people in the room with me, and I have had snakes out, and I've let them see what I'm doing. No one else has handled the snakes apart from me and maybe a couple of other keepers that do have their license. But I spoke to her. I had my inspection just recently, and I did tell her, look, I do have people asking me to train them up. And to be honest, I think it would be a good idea because I'm the only person that can give them hands-on. So she sort of came to a kind of agreement with me that if I do take anyone on, they do have to go and do a venomous handling experience first and get a certificate. Then they have to come to me. They have to pay to be put in my insurance, and then they have to get so many hours working with me before she would even agree to give them a license.
See, then she's come up with a solution to a problem, which is, you know, just better than letting somebody, you know, try to figure out and be creative on their own and then find out it's the wrong way of doing things after spending so much money. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming up on almost our half hour, so we're going to go into another segue of our another song, and then we'll go into a Q&A. If you notice, I have shared the StreamYard, so you're more than welcome to come join us and ask your personal questions to Paul. If that's okay, Paul, you're okay for taking a Q&A? All right, cool. Yeah. So after this next song, we'll be taking a Q&A. So ladies and gentlemen, our next song coming up. Oh, I got to turn my head. Not easy thing to do. Heart Goes Numb is our next song coming up.
On the life that you're leaving, let it rest in a hole in the ground. Stick around for the great revealing, or the fire you've been dancing around. All we hear is the sound of retreating. No one cares where you're coming from. My ears are still ringing and bleeding. I guess we all knew from the start. These are the days my heart goes numb. You know, one of these days will be the one. We're looking for answers. Oh, what a disaster. These are the days my heart goes numb. My heart goes numb. Breathing the fumes of the ashes, the spirits light up the night, looking down the edge of forever. So stop me to take my advice. Have you lost your will for the saving? Are you finally going insane? Getting so fed up with believing, comatose, still alive. These are the days my heart goes numb. One of these days will be the one. Looking for answers, found a disaster. These are the days my heart goes numb. My heart goes numb. Looking for answers. What a disaster. These are the days my heart goes numb. My heart goes numb.
Oh, and I definitely muted myself. Oh my gosh. That was interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. Or should I say, we're back here with Paul Dunn. We're going to give him I wish I could give you a round of applause, but I do not have Epidemic Sound up and running with me, so that's where all of my, what they call human noises are at. Apparently giving claps and stuff, human noises. Who knew? So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, as you've noticed before, I did hit up the StreamYard link. You're more than welcome to come in, or you can type in your questions. This is now the time for the Q&A. So if you have any questions for Paul, about what he does, or maybe even about his band, now's the time, or forever hold your peace. I am trying to give you the best quality of audio. Like I said, I've got to figure out this soundboard. It's driving me nuts, but I had figured out that I will probably more likely end up replacing the, the audio for the video. But I guess that's just how it goes. Editing. But I am working on, also, there will be records in the future. So if you like what we do here, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and, come join the family. Scott Invert says, still listening, cracks? Get on Facebook. I'm like anti-Facebook. It's probably going to be the downfall of my show. Is like, I refuse Facebook. And Scott in the background, like the devil. Do it. I'm like, oh, don't make me.
You should. You should.
Yeah, and the thing is, I know, because there's the huge invert community. I mean, you've got some groups are 50,000 plus, and like I said, it probably would be worth my time. But the thing is, I'm just so anti-Facebook. I'm just about anti anything that wants to take my information and sell it, because I'm just little me. But I do have a few things that I don't want people knowing, and it's just like, no, Facebook will find you, they will find everything about you and sell it. No, where have I heard this before? Oh yeah, right, in spy movies. So yeah, I'm anti-Facebook. I am on Instagram, but I do know people are like, well, Facebook runs Instagram. It's like, no, they're a sister company. They're just leasing the name to Instagram. And one of the reasons why you find that Instagram is so chill about subjects and topics and other things. Whereas, Facebook will shut you down really quick. But yeah, that's my rant on Facebook. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to speak now. Ask your questions. Do it while it's hot. In the meantime, I'm just gonna sip my wine. I'm just gonna be over here with my wine in my own corner, wine rum mix, and enjoying my time. I am kind of hungry though, so I gotta go eat again. I ate small because I was in a hurry, trying to get online, and didn't really work out for me.
All this talk about food. As soon as I go downstairs, I am raiding the cupboards.
No, that's a question. I'll ask you my question until somebody comes and asks their own question. On TikTok, I see a lot of free handling, and some of it pretty dangerous. What are your thoughts on that?
God, something? I was always anti-free handling, stuff like that. And do you know, I can't talk now because, as I say, I'm very, very, very hands-on with some of the snakes. But what I do, I call it semi-free, which
yeah, you're not going to free handle. I know one particular Cobra you're not going to free handle.
yeah. What I do, I call it semi-free. You see a lot of them that grab the snake and they lift the snake right off the ground and they parade it around and shit like that. That to me, that's full-on free handling. You're picking the snake up, you're walking around it and stuff like that. The way I do it, I keep the snake on the ground, and I believe in keeping everything as calm as possible. So, as I was talking about earlier, I've switched the fear completely off I've locked it in a closet. I've thrown away the key. I need to find that key because I need to get a little bit of that fear back. But do you know the way I see it is respect works two ways. I'm allowed to go into that snake's environment that I've got in here. I'm allowed to grab it by the tail. I'm allowed to hook it out and do whatever I want with it, and then put it back. So if I've got a snake out, I like to get down low with the snake, so I'm not over the top of it like a predator. I like to make myself as small as possible. And I was always taught in the wild, if a venomous snake comes up to you, what's the best thing to do? Stand still, become a tree. And the problem with me is I've not got a problem being a tree. So if a snake wants to come over, tongue flick me, do whatever, you've seen me in videos, I have absolutely no issue with that. If I ever have to pick up a snake right off the ground, then I always hook and tail that animal. But I've seen some of the stuff that's on TikTok, and you know, if you're going to do stuff like free handle a snake, you have to respect the animal, and you've got to know, like, I wouldn't want anybody to grab me and lift me up. So the way I see it, neither does that snake. So if the snake's ever coming over to me or whatever, and climbing a little bit, I never ever close my hand around the animal. I keep my hand open. I let the snake do its thing. Whereas you see some of the free handlers, and they'll just grab the animal and lift it up and just doing whatever they can to annoy the animal. And like you're trying to avoid a bite. And it's all about keeping the animal as calm as possible. And you know, I've had people in this room absolutely shitting themselves before they come in here. And you see when they leave, they're like, wow, I didn't think it was going to be so calm.
I was going to say there's people that the videos I've seen are people who own cobras, for example, and try to get them to hood out, and then they want to kiss them on the top of the head, thinking it's like a thing, and it's like that's like me antagonizing my tarantula and then wanting to handle them. It just makes no sense to me.
Do you know, everything I do here, like when I've got the snakes out, it's always on the snake's terms. I never force the snake into doing anything. If the snake wants to come over and investigate me, it's a curious animal. The way I see it, a snake isn't going to eat human. So I don't smell like food to it. It's going to bite in defense, so I don't scare it. You know, I look at everything that would annoy the snake, and I just don't annoy it. And they're curious animals. And of course they want to check you out. You're something different, and they want to check everything out. So I've never, ever had an issue with them coming over. People are like, are you not scared? Do you get an adrenaline rush for it? Honestly, my heart rate doesn't even go up. The way I see it is like respect's a two-way thing. So if I respect the animal and I handle it a certain way, the animal respects that I'm not a threat. So it just goes about doing its thing. It's hard to explain. I just do it, but to explain it, it's hard for me. I just understand the animal.
Ellie's Bug Baby says, Paul, I don't mean to be rude. I come there to do as advertised, but instead of be shitting myself and worry, it wouldn't change, as I'm not really scared. I just worry, what if? I would be kind of the same with Ellie on that one. I think I'd be more worried about what the what ifs than actual worrying about the animal. But now my next question is because like I said, some TikTokers talk about or handle their animals with respect, and some don't. The ones that really don't just kind of like just kind of ignore. The best way I can think about dealing with them is just not giving them the views that they need for the algorithm. But anyways, my next question, because we touched this on this Wednesday, we had at the zoo taught me there's not just 3 stages, there's actually 4. There's the sleepy, inquisitive, hunger, and then defensive. I usually don't think defensive as a way of being. I think it's the first 3, and then defensive kind of comes along with how were they raised, how were they taken care of, and all that. And we discussed, like I said, I discussed this with Scott's Animal Adventures with this last Wednesday. Now, my question for venomous snakes is it about the same? Because we'll take a retic, for example.
You've almost took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking exactly. I'll let you carry on, but I think we're on the same page here. But carry on, and then we'll go from there. But I'm positive you're going to take the same path I'm about to take there.
Well, I was going to say, when they're sleepy, it's usually when you're with the zoo. When they're sleepy is usually when you really want to handle them. And handling isn't like playing with them or anything like that. It's more like we want them out of their enclosure so we can clean the enclosure. They're more safe because I'm sorry, but a 3 meter retic is definitely dangerous. It may not have the venom, but it's definitely got the strength to really give you a bad day, if not kill you. That's one of the reasons. Go ahead.
When it comes to big constrictors like that, like I'll take the king cobra and I'll take a baby retic, and just say you've got the baby retic and you've got the king cobra, and you raise them up to adulthood and you never touch them. They're both going to be feisty, they're going to be wild and stuff like that. But you take the baby retic and you take the baby king cobra and you interact with them on a daily basis, stuff like that. The time they're adults, they're going to be calm animals. The only difference is the king cobra is venomous, but the retic is going to kill you. If it grabs you and wraps, you're dead in minutes. It's going to kill you quicker than any venomous snake in the world. But people keep retics, they handle retics, and it's not frowned upon. But because my king cobra has venom, and he's just as calm as any reticulated python, some stuff that I do is frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? And
yep.
There's every chance that retic could snap, and there's every chance that king cobra could snap. You both take risks, but because the retic isn't venomous, people don't frown upon it. Whereas I've worked with my king cobra every day for the past 3 years. He is stupidly calm, tolerant. I do accept that bites can happen, like people that keep big retics do. They accept the same, a bite can happen. But just because mine has venom, it's like frowned upon. But if the retic was to grab a keeper in feeding mode, then the keeper's screwed.
Well, my question was, do they have the same stages like some of the constrictors do, like the retic or the anaconda, where there's a sleepy mode, and that's generally when you want them out and be able to work with them. And then there's the inquisitive mode, which I have no problems with inquisitive mode, as long as I can keep an eye on that head and that tongue to make sure that that's exactly what they're doing, and they don't have that. Because when they're inquisitive, then they can switch to feeding really, really quick. Feed mode is danger mode. It's like the big red sign that says stay away.
Oh yeah. They're the same. Luke's he's in sleepy mode right now. He has inquisitive mode and stuff like that. The great thing about Luke is you can do anything with him at any time. Apart from feeding mode, obviously, but he's quite a good snake to work with. But yeah, venomous snakes are similar. I had a red spitting cobra, and this is going back a good few years now, and you always wanted to get him out when he was in sleepy mode, because if you got him when he was awake, he would spit on the glass, and you're constantly cleaning venom for the glass. So always sleepy mode for him. But everything else in here, really, it doesn't matter. Like when I work with them, because I interact with them so much, I could work with them when they're deep in blue. I could work with them when they're like being hyper. They're just so used to me coming in and out and in and out and in and out, and everything's generally well behaved. And over the years, like keeping several species of venomous snakes, I've noticed, even with the Papua New Guinea taipans, yeah, the more I interact with them, the calmer they become. Apart from Fudge just now, he's Cobra, he's an asshole.
He's not an asshole. I told you, I keep telling you, he's not an asshole. He's just constantly in a feed me, either a feed me mode or don't stop me, I want to see the world mode. He's not an asshole. You're just standing in his way of his ambitions. That's all.
Oh, you want to see this guy? You just walk in the room and he's trying to bite you.
Yeah, see, I told you, but that's because you're keeping him in an enclosure. You're not letting him explore like he wants. You're standing between him and his ambitions. So anyways, I wanted to bring up some of the statements, and Tony Webb had a question at the end. First thing Tony said, yep, you can say the difference between a wild king cobra and a CB, I believe that's constricted boa, was
captive red. Captive red.
Oh, okay. Was a completely different working with a 11-foot captive bred king, pretty chill, versus an 8-foot Malaysia, different ball game.
Yeah.
And then Ellie's Bug Baby says, them giant species really make them anxious. If a boa tried to squish her, she'd be useless against it. Actually, there's a trick with that. If you have a boa and it's wrapping, first of all, you better not have been handling that animal by yourself. Always have somebody with you. And second of all, if it wraps around your leg, that's fine. If it wraps around the arm, make sure that tail doesn't hook, and try to unhook it as quick as possible. And then, once you've got the tail preoccupied on something else, then try to use something like a flat blade of some sort, like a butter knife or a spatula of some sort, and try to get to slip underneath between your skin of whatever it latched onto and the teeth, because remember, the teeth face backwards, and they're like little backwards harpoons. And then remain calm. 100% remain calm. Don't panic. If you panic, it's game over. I know restrictive animals because I've worked with them, but I've worked with them with somebody who was a supervisor, and I was in training. Now, did I complete my training? No, because my internship had ended with the invert care at that point. But I definitely would love to get involved with the snake end more often. I love snakes. They do have a special place in my heart. But generally, it's the corn snake that I really like. I like the smaller snakes, not because of the size that scares me. It's the care-wise. I know I have room for a smaller animal than a very large animal, because I know the kind of room that you would have to give a retic, because retics don't stop growing until they're between, I want to say, 5 to 6 meters long. They're huge. They're massive.
Dealing with a snake that's got the potential to hit like 20 foot or over. And what I found about retics as well is they're always active. And when you're trying to see, like when you're dealing with like a 17-foot retic and you're trying to hold it still, holy shit, that snake goes where it wants to go. I think the biggest one that I've ever met was 17 foot, and there was 3 of us, and not even 3 of us could like stop the snake going where it wanted to go. So if you're keeping snakes at that size, they need a shit ton of space and if you're ever going to handle a snake of that size, don't have like 2 or 3. Make sure there's like 5 or 6 of you, because if that thing bites you, it's going to take a good 5 or 6 people to get that off, and even they're going to struggle.
It's game over at that point. Oh.
Yeah.
So moving on to Tony Webb's question. Tony had asked, how many species are you keeping at the moment, Paul? And are you restricted numbers where you're situated?
I've only got the 5 venomous snakes at the moment. Because I've got them up in a back bedroom of the house, space is an issue. So they've restricted me to 6, provided like the 6th snake that I add is small, like pygmy rattlesnake or something like that. But you know, I've been doing this every day for 11 years and suffering mental health as well. Sometimes I can come into the room, and if I even just have to do like 5 water changes, it could seem like the most daunting task in the world. So I am currently trying to cut back to 4 venomous, and then I'm just going to leave it at 4. But yeah, I'm restricted due to space. If I had a bigger house, I'd probably have more, and then my mental health would probably suffer even more because it would be even more daunting. And you know, even like all in all in the house, there's 11 snakes at the moment. There's 5 venomous. There's 3 bull snakes, 2 boa constrictors, and a corn snake. And you know, I'm trying to cut everything right back. I want to just have 4 venomous snakes, and that's it. But people say, "Will you look after these for me?" Yeah, or will you take on this? And I keep saying, "Yeah," because I don't want to see any snake like. You
don't want to suffer because of human issues.
Yeah. I don't want to see any snake end up in a bad home. I know if I take it on, I know the people that I could pass it on to. I've got a friend that's moved house, so I'm looking after 3 of her snakes at the moment. But I have to learn to say no. I'm trying my hardest to cut back.
I have to agree with that.
And I'm just looking to have 4 venomous snakes. The next one on the list, I'm looking for a black mamba. And then if things go my way, I'm going to have the 4 venomous snakes, and that's it.
Too bad you weren't in Sweden. I know somebody who has one.
Oh God! You know, I am trying so hard to find the black mamba, and it is a total mission and a half.
Yeah, I can agree. I can not agree because I'm not really into the shopping, but I can imagine. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, they're not a species that everybody has, and they're like in their house. So yeah, they're quite awkward to find, but I'll get there. I usually always get there, so I've got my eyes and ears peeled.
No, Ellie went to say they do not have a constrictor. They do not have a boa. Ellie, what do you have? That is my next question. Because I don't know what you have for your full collection. I know you have a very cute beardy that you said was crazy. I don't think it's crazy. I think it's just being extra cute. That's my way of thinking. Stacy West went to say they have to agree with exotics. Our group got into a violation for a fake post. It's ridiculous. So they're anti-TikTok. I can understand that. Ellie has a corn. I love corns. Corns are cute.
Oh, you got a corn snake. Cool.
Now, my question, because of the extensive knowledge that you have, especially when it comes to venomous animals or venomous snakes, and you're trying to cut back on what you have, and you're trying to narrow down, but you cannot say no when it comes to rescues. Have you ever had the authorities come and ask you to take an animal for a short period of time?
No. Nah. I have I've made them aware that I do have a license and I can take venomous snakes or whatever, but none of them have ever came to me or anything like that.
Because
I had a weird one with the RSPCA years ago. They had a huge boa constrictor called Thor, and I had an empty vivarium, and I phoned them, and I've no transport. I can't get over to Edinburgh, and I can't exactly take a big, huge boa constrictor on the bus. So I phoned them, and I says, "Look, I've got this vivarium here. This is what I keep. I've got years of experience. I'd be happy to take this boa constrictor for you guys." And they were like, "Nope, you have to come and get it." So I was like, "Fair enough." And a while passed. Must have been a few months, and I phoned them again, and I got told the same. And then I was reading the paper, and they were in the paper saying that they could not rehome this bloody boa constrictor. And I was like, "I've offered you 2 times." So they've never came to me, but I've went to them and offered to rehome snakes. But because I couldn't go to them and get the snake, then I couldn't get it. And then end up in the newspaper trying to rehome it because no one would take it. And I was like, "I've offered." It's the strangest thing. They're happy to go and get the snake to rescue it. But when it comes to someone wanting to rehome it, they won't come to your house, but it'd be so much easier because then they can make sure that you've got the proper setup.
Don't get me started on it. Don't get me started. They have issues here as well. It's because of publicity. They want the bleeding hearts to pay, to donate money. That's exactly what they're doing, and they're using the animal situation to that advantage. And it always ticks me off when that happens. Like I said, we have rescues here in Sweden, and because of our laws and how the laws are, once the government's involved, then the laws are enforced. So the animals cannot be rehoused, they cannot be rehomed, they cannot be resold. So they go to rescues, and the rescues can actually lend out an adoption. But once you adopt, that animal's there for life. That animal's yours for life. Yeah. And for some untold reason, if you have to give the animal back, then you'll never be able to get a pet again. It's as simple as that. So yeah, do not get me started with the ACSP, the animal ASPCA, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I prefer the local rescuers, because the local rescues don't care. They have the little cups around different stores and say, accepting donations. And everybody knows that they're there for the animal's well-being. They're not there to say one situation is worse than another. They're there to actually just take care of the animal and provide the best care they can for that animal. Nothing burns me more than somebody exploiting an animal situation. It's like a kid, So, the people who exploit their kids. It gets me the same. Is riled up to just the same. Probably because I see my animals as my kids.
Yeah.
Now, Tony Webb has another question for you.
Sure.
Black-headed Bushmaster or Fer-de-Lance?
Black-headed Bushmaster all day long.
Okay, what is a Fer-de-Lance, and why would you choose a black Bushmaster over that?
God, Fer-de-Lance. I'm pretty sure. Oh God, what's the Latin name for it? As I say, my theory is terrible. Is the Fer-de-Lance, like, correct me, Tony, if I'm wrong, is the Fer-de-Lance Bothrops asper? Was it Bothrops atrox? But the black-headed Bushmaster is just my preference. I think they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're absolutely huge. And I like snakes that make you work for it, and I believe that the black-headed Bushmaster would certainly make me work for it.
Well, I have a question. That's a Fer-de-Lance is, they're saying a pit viper, but isn't a rattlesnake also a pit viper or a form of pit viper?
Yeah, rattlesnakes are pit vipers. Yeah.
So basically, what he's asking you is a rattlesnake without a rattle, or a black-headed. Did they break it down as simple as possible? Or
yeah, I take the Bushmaster all day long. I love Bushmasters. Which, as I say, if I had a bigger house, I'd have like hundreds of snakes, and my mental health would suffer greatly. But I'd be in my element.
Tony Webb says Bushmaster equals the Holy Grail. Ellie Bug Babies says, but they're not all the same. It's like tarantulas. They're basically they're a pit viper, a very venomous, highly potent pit viper, but a pit viper nonetheless. The Ferdilance is like the ultimate pit viper. Okay, I get it. I've learned of a new species of snake when I was trying to do some of my research, and I was proud of myself for finding the snake. Would you ever accept a false? What was it? A false cobra, false water cobra?
Oh, false water cobras! I've had loads of them in the past. That's before I got my DWA license, I was told that there was certain rare fanged venomous snakes that I could keep, and I was straight on it. I had mangrove snakes, I had false water cobras, I had Barons racers, and then I was told, this is how you get your DWA, and I was like, oh, is it? And then I got rid of them, and then I had copperhead rattlesnakes, you name it. My heart lies with DWA animals, but I have had false water cobras in the past, and they are absolutely amazing animals. I love falses, I really do.
No, I was gonna say, have you ever had an allergic reaction or been bit by a false water cobra? Because I've seen a couple of YouTubers actually have an actual reaction. A pretty serious one where the joint and the whole hand just swelled. It is, and I'm going to put that out there. I know that that's not common, but has that ever happened to you?
I've never ever been bitten by a false water cobra. I have been bit. I was bitten on both hands one night by a hognose snake, and both hands had some swelling and some severe itching for about 20 minutes. But the next day it was back to normal. But I've never had a severe reaction. No.
Okay. Yeah. No. I just wanted to ask. Kind of figure all of that out because. You always get this perception when you watch a bunch of YouTubers do something and they kind of have the same, what do you call it? The same tones, the same things that happen kind of things.
Yeah.
And so like I said, the false water cobra, I'm thinking false water cobra is not venomous. Why are you having a reaction? Well, apparently there's a mild venom and, generally most of the public will not have a reaction, and some people just do. They have a natural allergic reaction, and also in some cases it could also be a bacterial infection, a mild bacterial infection that they've gotten.
The longer the snake chews on you, the worse the bite. For what I know, yet again, correct me if I'm wrong, but for what I know, false water cobra venom is on par with timber rattlesnakes. Whether there's any truth to that, I don't know, but I've read it countless times. But they don't have the delivery system that the timber rattlesnake has. So in order to inject venom, they've got to bite you and chew it in using the rare fangs, and they only inject tiny little amounts. So they've got to really chew and chew and chew and chew and chew for a really, really bad, significant bite. But yet again, some people are allergic. Once again, you don't know until it bites you. So I've got a friend. We got a false water cobra years ago, and this guy is 7'4", and his false water cobra was about 3 foot, and it bit him, and it chewed on him for 30 seconds before he got it off, and it made him ill for days, and he got rid of the snake. And he's quite a big guy. He was like, as I say, he's about 7'4", and this guy's still growing. And
Anybody want to
This-
do the math on that? What is 7 foot? What is 7'4" in centimeters?
Oh God, he's a giant.
Well, my family's giant. Yeah, remember, the guys in my family have one that's 198, one that's 194.
Right.
And the girls don't get any shorter than 175. So,
Right.
uh,
This guy was bitten. Like his false water cobra was just a youngster, and it must have been about 3 foot long, and it chewed on him for around 30 seconds, and it made him ill for days. And he got rid. He sold it.
Why did you let him chew on you for about 30 seconds? Holy crap! Was it just what did the teeth just sink in afterwards, or
I don't know if it's grabbed him and he's not wanted to pull it off, and he's been trying like under the tap and stuff to get it to let go, but eventually let him go, and he was ill. It really made him ill for like 3 days, and he sold the snake. He was all up for getting venomous snakes, and it was a false water cobra that put him off.
Now, my last question, because we've come up to the 3-hour mark, and I don't want to go over too much. Tony Webb says 225. It sounds like he's probably from my family. Holy crap! Because
It's huge.
My great grandfather was 200.
Wow.
So yeah, like I said, that the guys and the gals were all pretty tall. So anyways, now my last question, like I said, we're coming up. If you are bit, now in the zoo, we were taught to not use chemicals to get an animal off you, because you can actually do more damage to the animal than the animal's doing to you. So, no rubbing alcohol, no vinegar, no nothing like that. So what we do is we would take really, really, really warm water, almost too hot to touch, and just flick it right on the muzzle area where the sensory is, and that'll force them to let go really quick, because they can't handle the sensation. They don't get burned. It may hurt for a short bit because of the sensory, but it's basically a sensory overload. Now, when you're bit by a venomous snake, would that still apply?
Lucky for me, most of mine are bite and release. The cobras, though, I would use vodka. I've got a spray bottle, a little bit of vodka in it. If a snake bit me, I'd spray it straight in the mouth and just hope they let go. I don't want to mess around with try to get it off. It's like get it off as quickly as possible. And I've heard that alcohol works really well. So for like the cobras, the king cobra, when it bites, it likes to hold. I would spray it in his mouth and just hope that it lets go.
Okay. Because like I said, at the zoo we had facility right on hand, and I'm pretty sure it's different from house to house, especially when you have an in-home. But yeah, I just wanted to know if a venomous snake would react the same way as a constrictor, because like I said, hot water works really good on a constrictor.
The only thing with a constrictor is you've got time to run to the bathroom and time to get that hot water, whereas someone like a king cobra, they deliver the time. A king cobra could drop an elephant. They deliver the second largest amount of venom to any snake in the world, and one of them grabs you, you want to get it off. So just a spray bottle with a little bit of alcohol in it in the mouth, and just pray that it lets you go.
Okay. And it's vodka, so it's not like it's rubbing alcohol where it's not going to poison them.
No, I'd go whiskey, any sort of alcohol. I've just heard that alcohol works well. If anybody listening has got any better ideas, let me know. But all these years, I've just been led to believe vodka.
For lizards in the zoo, what they do, they give you apple cider vinegar. But that's
even that.
They don't like the acidity of the vinegar. But yeah, we are coming up on our 10 minutes after 3 hours. So we were come up at the end of our podcast. So thank you, Paul, for being here. I really, really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any more questions, this is your last chance. I saw Scott's Inverts, Anton, Stacy West, Tony Webb, Spider Mom 1978, Ellie's Bug Babies. Thank you all very, very much to be here. Let's see, who else is in here? I see a room full of people, so hold on. No, that was about it. That's who is here now. So again, thank you guys for being here. Ellie Bug Baby says the poor dude might have PTSD. People suffer and respond differently, especially to trauma, and it might have been a traumatic experience for him, and that's probably why he may have gotten rid of it. But yeah, for not cobras, but for constrictors, best way to get them off is the hot water, or for cobras, apparently alcohol mixed in with some water, so it's not too strong. You don't want to poison them, and you don't want that alcohol going up their nose and causing it's a lung infection, but there's a respiratory infection is what I was trying to say. So yeah, sounds like and of course know your first aid as well. Know all of the laws and restrictions in the area that you live in. Don't do something and then regret it later, because you can actually go to in Sweden. If you do something that requires a license, you can very potentially go to jail. I don't know if it's the same in the UK. Is it the same in the UK?
Oh yeah. For what I know, oh God, I'm trying to think. I know of 2 people that have been caught without licenses, but I don't know if they got slapped with a hefty fine, or if they got a hefty fine in jail time. I do certainly know there was a fine involved, but I'm not sure if jail time followed. I know for one guy it did, because stuff was found on his phone that shouldn't have been there, but that's a different story. But
that's for a crime podcast. Let's just stick to the snakes.
Well, honestly, this guy was keeping venomous snakes with no license, and he got bitten by a puff adder, and that's when things really went downhill for him, and some jail time was involved because he was doing things that he shouldn't have been doing. But
sound like he survived.
when we were talking about anti-venom, I think it's because he was in Scotland. I think it's when he got bitten by the puff adder, they were like, right, we better find out what's in Scotland, what's being kept. And I think from then on, that's when they made sure there was like anti-venom in Scotland for like the people keeping like other venomous snakes. Before he got bitten, I think it's more than likely we would have had to have it flown up from England. So the guy taking that bite done us a favour in a way, because it made sure there's anti-venom kept up here now.
Hey, self-sacrifice.
but the silly bugger should never got caught. He could have still been out. But yep, that's that. What he was into is like for a different podcast.
Tony Webb says, "Yep, I know the person you're talking about." So,
yeah.
We don't name names here on this channel. We keep it all nice. All right, so I'm gonna play one last song as people leave as a goodbye. But thank you guys so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I love Paul. Thank you so much. I loved you being here with me, hanging out, telling me what you got, and sharing your life with me a little bit on your day-to-day basis.
Thank you for having me on. And to everyone that's tuned in, thank you very much for listening to me.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still around, I noticed Spider Mom took off. I wanted to say thank you so much for being here. Again, if you like what we do here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around for more updates. I do this Wednesday and Friday lives. After the first will not be uploaded. They will be put on a playlist and left there because of the poor quality on some of the audio. Not some of the audio. So far, all of the audio until I figured out a few tricks. So, once I be able to edit this will be fine. But dealing with the compression of YouTube versus on top of the codecs that Epidemic Sound uses to keep people from using songs that they're not allowed to. It just it really ruins the audio on the upload and on the save. So hopefully this record that I've done in the background and the editing will work. If it does, then I won't have to worry about taking videos down on the after the first. But again, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. And we've got our last song up and coming. Yay! Late Drinking by Divity.
I was thinking about you, like drinking some TV. Felt like I was drinking. One more sip and here we go. Mama, you're a handful. I drink it and more TV. Say, what was I thinking? Should never have said I do.